And good morning, everybody. Welcome to 20 Sides to Every Story. I just realized I forgot to bring up my monitor, so excuse my distracted look. And today we're going to be playing some Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We're working our way into our community campaign today. And my players here have agreed to go look after the Fey Queen's Gambling Hall. A adventure posted on the adventuring board in Hommlet reads, Dame Livy and Squire Kijo Falafel seek adventurers to maintain the peace of the Gnarley Forest. A den of iniquities has been found. A band of ne'er-do-wells have gathered to form a gambling hall. These rapscallions must be dispersed before their frivolities cause harm to the people of the Gnarley Forest. Adventurers are sought to disrupt the festivities of this gambling hall. The reward will be 100 gold pieces per adventurer taking part. There is a bit of a complication, though. Scofflaws though these revelers may be, they are not sentenced to death. Use of lethal force would be considered murder. And so, these four brave adventurers have decided, in spite of the complications, to take up the challenge of dealing with the gambling hall. They have met here at the Stumbling Ogre Inn, or what is left of it, as adventurers do before setting out. They are familiar with each other, having ventured out together once before to deal with some of the troubles in the gnarly wood. But that's where we're going to turn it over and ask each of them just for a quick introduction and let us know what their characters might be looking like and anything they may have picked up along the way since we saw them last. We'll go left to right on my screen here, which will kick us off with Berrig. Berrig, if you could give a quick reminder introduction of your character and let us know anything unique you might be wearing at the moment.
Um, Berg is a bugbear rogue. I don't think he's wearing anything unique. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but Berg may have read the notice wrong. He thought he was going gambling.
That is a potential trick. The spelling on the word gambling hall is a little bit strange, and repeated often enough, maybe it's not a mistake. Perhaps Berg should ask about that. And as far as what unique things might be, occasionally adventurers will be wearing a particular unit of flair that would call attention to it from anywhere in the room. So if your character is wearing some measure of flair that I should be like, anybody who sees you would probably ask about the giant crow mask you're wearing. That's the kind of thing, looking at you, Swidgen. But as we go left to right here, next will be Orla. Orla, if I could get an introduction and anything noteworthy that you might be sporting.
Hi. I'm playing Orla, and she is a forest gnome sorcerer. She's not real good at it, and she's not wearing anything that unique. She had this squirrel that was encased in amber, but I think that she's going to leave it in town because it's a little bit heavy, and she's only about 3 feet tall.
Sounds good. Squirrel and Amber left safely in town for Orla. That'll bring us over to Gareth. Gareth, a quick introduction and anything you're sporting that I might note.
Sure. So my name is Martin. Yeah, I'm playing Gareth. He is a paladin dedicated to the service of Aronius, but he also holds great respect for other lords that he calls Lords of Light, other deities, including Cuthbert. So he's trying to cultivate those relationships. He's not necessarily wearing anything particularly special, although I guess if you were native to the Gnarly Forest, you might recognize the favor that he's now kind of wearing proudly that they received last time as a token of gratitude and respect from the Dame and the Squire from their last adventure.
Excellent. And then that'll bring us over to Swidgen. Swidgen, which of your character looks have you chosen to grace us with this adventure?
Honestly, I hadn't thought of it until you brought it up, but
I mean, your picture's got kind of two very distinct styles here, so.
Around town you might spy him looking like the more jovial of the two. But when it comes time for an adventuring, usually he puts on his scariest self-made armor and horned helm and the whole deal to strike fear into the hearts of the ne'er-do-wells. But on this mission, what's the approach? He's not sure. So I think he would show up to the meeting as Dragon Shadow to maintain his secret identity versus the other party members. And then if it comes to going in, trying to use subterfuge to enter the casino or whatever, he would probably don some type of disguise that maintains his own secret identity, but wouldn't be so, obvious as the armor, if that was our plan.
Sounds good.
So for now, he'd be wearing that armor there, looking scary.
Gotcha. And so the innkeeper, the younger of the Gundagroots, have brought you over your meals, and recognizing all of you from before. No discounts today to be had, but the meal is still quite good. They like to fuel up their adventurers well before they head out. The town of Hommlet is available to you for anything you might wish to do before heading out. And the adventuring committee is available to answer questions if you had them about the task. But you would be expected to head up and see Dame Livy and Squire Kijo before heading out if things proceed normally. Party, what would you like to do?
Well, I got a little bit of money from the last time we went out. Maybe some healing potions might be handy. I think that's something that adventurers do.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful for me. Yep, I think so.
If we're not killing these things, maybe some way to like zip ties or something to bind their hands.
The old-fashioned version of zip ties are called manacles, and they are available to you as well.
Yes, we should get some manacles for certain.
Healing potions
Yeah,
are available.
Susan will drop a bunch of manacles on the table.
Yeah, I think if we at least had between me and Swidgen and Briggs, maybe we could carry 2 or 3 pairs of manacles apiece to have them, and then we could go in together to purchase some healing potions. You all might remember we did try to get one. We obtained one last time from the temple, so perhaps purchasing a couple. I'm certainly happy to make a contribution towards that.
Sounds good. And as you
How many manacles do we have then? And how many people do we think that we're going to capture?
That's an excellent question, Briggs. Perhaps when we get to the forest, we can ask the dame and the squire for more details. But if we had 2 to 3 pairs between the 3 of us, I mean, these are a little heavy, maybe for Orla to carry, but hopefully that should be sufficient. The rest we'll subdue, and perhaps we can take some rope and tie them up if needed.
Oh, I have some rope.
I only had time to make 7.
7? Wow,
Wait,
that's an extraordinary.
You made 7?
I made, no, I didn't make these. What are you talking about? I acquired these.
Oh. I thought you said you made them.
I made them here is what I meant. They were elsewhere. Someone else, some labor person, whatever they call those guys, made it. I brought it.
And so, with roughly 40 pounds of manacles on the table, and then being distributed out amongst the party, I think the plan may have been to head over to the temple. The acolytes greet you. I believe the leader of the temple is still away dealing with some things. I think they are coming back soon. But the acolytes certainly welcome you, and they let you know that, the items that you left with them are still in safekeeping. When you indicate an interest in healing, but of course, we're happy to sell them to you. And again, apologize for last time having to collect the entrance, but now that you have the gold up front, of course, 50 gold per healing potion, special seal. Cuthbert's blessing.
Excellent.
I'll take one.
There you are. One healing potion for you.
Thank you.
I'd also like one. Yep. I'd like one.
And one for you as well. And to give you a little guidance cast on you. It's only going to last a minute or two, but for whatever you might get up to in the next couple of minutes, you have that available to you.
And I'll purchase one as well.
And of course you. And boop boop.
Thank you, brother.
They give you the bonk on the head of St. Cuthbert. It'll get the wisdom through by force. Stook. And Swidgen, healing potion for you. Oh, I think Swidgen went mute on us. So there we go.
I still have mine from last time.
Okay. All right. So healing potions deployed and blessings all around. Is there anything else we can do for you today?
Well, I remember the last time we were here. Didn't we go visit some kind of a horse or something? Real big.
Oh,
The donkey.
well, and the acolytes look a little like, can't believe they just brought that up in front of us, kind of thing. Yes, there is a small temple of sorts to Farlong, another of the gods of good, a compatriot of the good Saint Cuthbert. A little more rough and tumble type, and I think you may be referring to the slightly disputed oracle of Saint of Farlon, Odie the donkey. He's just over there, and they sort of gesture off in the direction where you'll be going down the hill from the temple, kind of through the town to where there's a little pen with 3 donkeys in it. 2 of which appear donkey-shaped, 1 of which appears 3 kobolds in a donkey costume shaped.
I'm sensing a little bit of apprehension in your voice. Are we not supposed to do this?
No. Each finds their way to salvation in a unique way, and we of Cuthbert understand that some are not ready to take the straight and narrow path and must instead meander following the finest ass they can find.
Well, generally I'm for keeping all my options open.
And therefore, I do invite you to partake. The temple can certainly use the donations. It is a bit rustic.
Thank you for your guidance, brother.
I like how you think, Orla. Having like multiple gods like assisting us is probably not a bad idea.
And I'm gratified to hear you both kind of thinking about these things. Of course, there are many deities that are worth our honor and respect. Not just Saint Cuthbert, but as we've spoken, Palor, Voltus, Erroneous, who I follow closely, they're all worthy of study and emulation. And I'm happy to talk about that as we journey to the forest.
And they'll assist us, right? Give us certain advantages.
Yes, if we're true to our purpose and true in our action, then I'm sure that the gods will bless us.
And during this
Dwarven
conversation,
gods are the best.
I think the party may have made their way down, and they're now, they passed the general store where Lot and West are like, hey, do you need anything today? Lots of good stuff for sale. And maybe kind of head on past that.
Boomerangs. Need boomerangs.
Boomerangs. Lot and West kind of look at each other. Bent sticks? We've got bent sticks. All the bent sticks you can buy.
Excellent. Can I have 6?
6 bent sticks. You got it. And they sort of bring out, boomerangs. They'll probably work.
That depends on how I roll, I guess.
You got it. So they're like, yeah, absolutely. Here you go. I never thought we would unload those. And so you pay list price for your bent sticks.
Do we have enough rations among the party? Do we all still have a few days worth if we need them?
Good question. And so generally you'd be setting out in not too long, making your way to Tumblestone, from Tumblestone to the Fey Queen's wood stop. So it would only be mid-travel if you got caught out that you would need rations you could eat morning and night if you needed to. But things do happen mid-travel to adventurers, so do please know how many rations you are carrying. Lot and West say, "Oh, we've got some old rations to get rid of." I mean, aged cheeses.
I'm sure you gentlemen would not take advantage of adventurers such as ourselves in that kind of a situation.
And the two kind of look at each other and they're like, "Oh, there's no gentleman here. He's an idiot and I'm a lady."
Okay. And then I think we have 7 pairs of manacles that Swidgen procured from a laborer, as you mentioned. So perhaps Gareth would purchase 2 more, just so, as I said, between Briggs, Gareth, and Swidgen, we would have 3 pairs each.
You got it. Trunk manacles. All right. And so, well, good luck to you. If you need any more bent sticks, manacles, you come right on back.
Probably eventually. They break quite easily.
And so, not actually all that far from the general store. Little pen, donkey, little donkey feed dispenser. It's just kind of like a slot in the bot and then like a little roundy thing that brings it out. It's not actually mechanical inside. The 3 little kobolds that are underneath the donkey blanket are just sort of like looking out through the pen at you.
I will put a coin in and say like a little silent prayer to whatever God's listening at the moment. Can you help us out in this little adventure? Yeah, that'd be great.
I feel like that's maybe a religion check. So, nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, no rays come down or anything like that. But the donkeys sort of walk over to you and kind of eye you friendly like while you're holding the feed.
Oh, right. I'm supposed to give this to him. Here you go, donkey.
And then they kind of amble away. And they know this game, so they just amble right on over to the next person who looks like they're in line. And then, like, big donkey eyes looking at you.
Gareth would step up. He's like, last time I didn't do so well with the coin machine. And he kind of stares at the fake donkey and says, "Take a step back, would you charlatans?" He tries to put a coin in the feed to feed the regular donkey.
Sure, could I see an animal handling check, please?
My favorite. All right. I mean, the religion goes to Briggs, and I get the animal handling. That's the way it goes. Right?
I didn't hear you praying.
Trying to tame the donkey. You do well.
Hey!
Your stern look causes the 3 kobolds to be like, "All right," and they kind of back off a little bit. The other 2 come up, and it's feeling good. The donkeys are eating. Everybody looks happy. They've got that like beatific look about them. It feels like it's going well, but it can only get worse from here, maybe. Orla, Swidgen, are you taking part?
I think Orla would, yeah. And so Orla's gonna say, I'd like to try too. He's gonna get out a coin and try to reach. I don't know if I can reach.
You're trying to reach, and like one of the kobolds like scurries over, puts their hands down to give you like the little step up.
Thanks a lot. Yep, thanks.
And like 2 sets of thumbs up come out from the second half of the donkey. Just drop that one in. Could I get I feel like you are doing something maybe a little acrobatic at this point. Could I get something along the lines of an acrobatics check as you're like balancing on two little not super strong kobold hands to drop this in? And you crush it. It looks like this is how you just do things all day. Drop it in, feed comes out, you hold it up like the kobolds are like 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, and they just like let you walk up till you're kind of standing even. Donkeys feel good. And so now we look over at the dark shadow of Swidgen. Swidgen, are you taking part?
Yeah, I think he pulled his cape across his face, kind of like, what's that, vampire back in the day? Yeah, that whole deal. Kind of move up and utter under his breath in Dwarvish. He's uttering a prayer to Morden, and the All Father, as he calls him, and the as well as the Father of Battle.
Okay.
Asking for their blessings and support.
I feel like you've leaned this either into stealth, intimidation, or religion. I would say all three of those are fair game. Which would you like to roll?
Highest numbers in stealth, so I guess that.
Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa, okay. The donkeys are liking this. They don't even know where the feed came from. They just know they're happily chewing on it. So, all four of you, please take a point of inspiration that you can use at any point during this session. Declare it before you roll, and you may have advantage on your roll. The donkeys are happily chewing away. There doesn't seem to be any sign of what's to come, other than this seems like a good start to the day. And speaking of that, it's a nice spring day outside. It rained 2-3 days ago, so the dust has been tamped down, but it's just a little bit brisk. The sun's starting to heat you back up again, and you're off and running in the morning. Anywhere else you'd like to visit in Hommlet before we head out on the road? All right. So could I have a volunteer to roll me a fateful D20? You would like to see a high number, not a low number, for your journey from Hommlet to Tumblestone.
Who wants to roll?
You go ahead.
Okay. Fateful D20.
Fateful D20. A 9 is pretty good, so this particular spring day is quite nice. You're making your way along. There's the sound of birds and bees and other such things busy doing what they do. The pathway is a little bit rough at this point. This was the hastily completed part of the route, but you continue on. There's the little stream running along beside you, getting deeper and deeper. Inbird's Run. And things are going well. As you are making your way along, are there any skills that the party would be deploying while they're on the march? That could be things like stealth checks to make sure no one hears you approaching or sees your trail afterwards, perception checks to see what's going on out there, survival checks for trail hunting, or for finding things that have passed or for hunting, history checks if you're regaling your party members with the history of the different religions and how to find their way back to a state of grace.
I could do stealth.
Sure. Okay, this is going to be a very easy game, I'm seeing. So, Barrick is keeping you guys well in check. Nobody's straying off, no one's stepping in mud, no breaking of things as you go past. Nobody hears you coming or sees that you have passed. Anyone else rolling us a skill set?
I think Gareth would, try to take folks up on a discussion about these different deities. I mean, he heard Swidgen mention Moradin, who's another deity that he respects. So kind of like contrasting the faiths. You mentioned history. What about also religion?
Religion also good. Sure. Okay. Whichever angle you want to take on it.
Slightly better on religion.
Sure. 14's nice and solid. So, in spite of the conversation ongoing and, the distracting nature of higher planes theories, you're able to keep on the track. Orla Swidgen, are you deploying any skills?
I think Orla's just listening, still just kind of taking it all in.
Sure. Perception check to listen to everything, or just taking in what Gareth is spilling out?
I think mostly she's listening to the party.
Okay.
I don't think she's paying attention too much to what's out there.
Sure. Orla, give me a quick insight check. Okay, 3. Not picking up on the mood of the party that well, but you are certainly listening to everybody. No harm, no foul there. Swidgen, anything you're doing?
Yeah, he sees Berg has the stealth covered, so I think he'll keep an ear out for any threats.
Okay.
And he'll say it as such, You can't see under my helmet, but I have ears, I assure you, and I will use them to listen for any
I feel
threats.
like that's on the perception side.
Many species have ears, and mine is one of them. Here we go.
All right. So, no threats of note as you're making your way along. You do see the wildlife occasionally scurrying out of the way. You see some fish jumping over there, and a couple of swans that just kind of make their way gliding along. But otherwise, your travels are unhindered until you reach the town of Tumblestone. Well done, all there. In Tumblestone, you can hear the grind of those great rock tumblers going from some distance away. You make your way up, and you will have the opportunity to stay the evening at the Bracken Inn, or you could continue on if you chose. Heather and Tops are there.
How long would it take us if we continued on?
Sure, you could continue on throughout the night and arrive there basically the same day. You would just be traveling through the night. So basically,
It sounds a little dangerous, though, potentially.
Potentially. So
I don't know how the rest of the party feels, but perhaps we should take advantage of the hospitality of the inn here.
I know you really want to do that, but it's pretty loud here, and it hurts my ears.
Well, if we wanted to press on, I mean, and
You know they do that tumbling thing all night long.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
remember.
stop.
I remember. It's true, Briggs. I'm sorry I didn't think about that your hearing might be more sensitive than the rest of ours. Well, how do we feel about that, Bridget and Orla, about if we continued on?
I generally prefer to travel under the cover of night.
I was going to say I'm kind of tired because my legs are tired, but I'll do whatever. Sorry, maybe we could fix something for your ears though. We might be able to wrap something around you. Or, I don't know.
That's an idea.
Okay. Sure.
Would you be able to sleep if we do something?
Maybe. I don't know. We can try.
all right. So I feel like Orla's playing into the gnome tinkering. Orla, do you actually have gnome tinkering? Is that a no? Okay, you're the other type of gnome. But so, does anyone have any crafting abilities as the idea is bandied about that I should know about?
No, but it strikes me we probably wouldn't be the first ones in this inn to kind of talk about the noise of the town. So maybe we could also ask Heather. Hey, I'm sure for first-time arrivals in Tumblestone, maybe sometimes people complain about the noise. Do you have anything to help our friend Briggs through the night? Maybe some earmuffs or something else?
And Heather's just sort of like, I mean, we've just all gotten used to it. I guess you could do something. And you look at her, and she's wearing this big headdress that's like got bear hide and fur already covering her ears. She's like, I guess maybe something. And she looks over at Barrig, and Barrig, Bugbear have big goblinoid ears, so you're like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I don't have anything in that size though. That's normally I don't want. I mean, even our gnome friends kind of keep it above the line of their scalp, that not,
What,
there.
what if you give me an extra pillow and I could just tie them both to my head?
Oh, sure, we could. Yeah, pillow and string, of course. And so, you secure 2 pillows and wrap some string around your head. And we found out what your point of flair is for the evening.
Remember, side to side, not front to back.
Excellent point, Switchin.
Well done. Heather's like, hadn't thought about it, but, maybe we could offer like a premium package with the rooms and sell that sort of thing. But, we'll look at that. And she serves you up the food and the drinks. So, out adventuring again?
Yes, we're back to visit the dame and the squire in the Gnarley Wood. We understand there was some trouble with the gambling hall.
I heard about that. I don't really understand what's wrong with it, but, I mean, if people want to party.
Have you been there? Do you know anything about it?
No, I just heard that it was, a bunch of our good neighbors having a bit of a party.
Oh, that sounds fun, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought so, but sometimes different folk get carried away in different ways. Like around here, the wrestling and the biting, we have our own rules. Fey folk might have their rules about it, so
Apparently, they feel that some have gotten carried away, and now, unfortunately, it's disturbing Denzians and the Gnarley Wood. And as we remember, we talked about last time, it is a sensitive period, right? And we're basically trying to help smooth those relations over. So they've asked for help, and we're hoping we can settle things, if at all possible, in a non-violent way. But did any other residents, maybe of Tumblestone, happen to have visited the gambling hall?
I don't think so, though. If you think about it, you have to work really hard to be considered a noisy neighbor in Tumblestone. It's just not a complaint we get often. So, no, I just don't. Like, you could have a rager and just not gonna notice. One of my favorite things about this place, we have a couple of wall bangers in here every once in a while, and nobody complains.
Orla's gonna go to Berg and sort of pull a pillar and say, "It sounds like it's fun."
Okay. Should we go then?
Well, I think we better figure out what the problem is. Yeah.
Oh, you still want to stay here tonight then? Okay.
And so I think that's cueing us up that the evening does pass. The food and the drink are good. The beds are reasonably comfortable. The little homes that are rented to you have had that second floor taken out so you can stand up inside them. They were old gnome homes. But yeah, all good happening there. And so the day dawns the next day. And could I have somebody roll me a fateful weather D100? You would like to see a higher number. Higher numbers are nicer weather.
I'll do it.
Okie dokie. $45, right down the middle. You wake up, it's a little bit damp outside, a little chilly, but it promises to warm up in the afternoon. Should be fine enough weather for walking, though not the perfect day it was yesterday. As you get ready to set out, anything that you'd like to do in Tumblestone aside from get out of the noise?
Can we buy a stone?
And Tops is like, yoink, looks over at you, and she is like on it in a moment, and she's right there like, absolutely. We have several selections. We're willing to tumble stones of your choosing, or we have these fun grab bags. Fill any bag from these, and she just like pot of stones, sits them down. And if you've ever been at like a touristy spot where they sell you like a little bag and you can stuff it full of all the stones that you want, that's kind of the thing she's got going on there. 1 copper piece per stone, any one you want, or buy the bag for a silver, fill it with as many as you want. You can't break the bag, obviously.
And is there a place here that sells slings?
Of course.
Okay, I'll buy a bag and I'll get a sling.
And you buy
Yeah,
some.
wasn't Orla gonna teach you how to use that? Eric, did you guys have a chance to go over a few lessons?
I think there were a few lessons last time. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. I don't know if we did it. We
Sure.
talked about it.
I'm willing to believe whichever you say. So a fresh sling is sold to replace the one that's all like worn down from your constant practice, and a nice set of new, slightly expensive sling bullets are available to you.
Is there any place of worship in Tumblestone?
No, no obvious place of worship in Tumblestone. Are you asking or just looking?
I mean, Garrett's asking, and he notes to Heather, he's like, I'm kind of surprised there isn't at least a chapel to Moradin here.
Oh, well, there was at one point when the gnomes had this place originally, but as it's given back over to nature and a few of us follow the wilder gods, it seemed, I don't know, somehow wrong to clear part of the forest to put up something to worship the forest. Just, why would you knock it down to put it back up again?
Yeah, that's true. I'm just thinking perhaps even a small chapel that would not, of course, be taking up part of the forest, full respect to nature, but perhaps a stopover place for pilgrims on the road, or since we're hoping there'll be more travel passing through the Gnarley Wood in the future.
I'll give it some consideration, but so far hasn't really caught on. If I set aside a little corner of the room for you here, do you think that? And you're kind of like looking around as like bar, and then she's like, I could put a little, votive for you over there if that would make you feel better.
Sure, at least something to start. I mean, the gods have to come to us. They have to approach the beings of this world. Faith walks among all of us. So, Carl Glittergold or Moradin or my own Lord Paladin Duronius, I'm sure I could arrange something. Perhaps, if not now, the next time we'll be passing through.
And she's sort of like, I'll give it some thought. And Tops is like, no.
And Orla's going to kind of hang back and say, another thing would be if you make something out there, like a worshiping place, in the woods, and then you could sponsor it with a little sign for your fine establishment and say, like, sponsored by, and then they could come here and they could buy your pretty rocks.
And then Tops goes from saying, like, no to, like, maybe.
Another idea is you could use the Odie, and instead of like coins going in the thing, they got to use your rocks to get the oats.
Can you make the rocks like ear shaped to work like little ear muffs, like ear things for people who have trouble with the sound?
I don't know. I feel a lot of the people who come through here already have rocks in their head. But
Present company accepted, of course.
oh yeah, no, you're all good. We're getting more traders through here now that the new road's opened up, and some of them are just dumb.
Bark's gonna practice with his sling
Sure.
inside the bar, and I rolled a 20, so I hit a bottle.
Heather's like, don't do that.
Hey, we're guests here. You should take that outside.
Oh,
Good shot.
sorry. They work really well, though.
And Tops is like, so she cleans it up. She's like, outdoor toys. Come on, get. On your way. You're gonna be late wherever you're going. You're gonna be late. Give me my pillows back.
The aim's doing good, though. You're doing good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but I think they insulted us.
You must have misheard us over the stones.
Possibly. Should we get going?
Yes, let's be on our way.
Sure. And
All the while, Sujin would be, during that conversation, picking out the roundest stones
okay.
as possible. Kind of like a ball bearings type of situation.
Sure. There are some very well-rounded stones. If you want to pick up a bunch of colored stones in place of ball bearings, you may do so for the cost of ball bearings. So should you cast these ball bearings down, same mechanical effect as ball bearings, but they will be very colorful, if only semi-precious stones. The party setting out for Tumblestone is making their way along, river again on the left, trees and such. It's a little more closed in than depicted here. Occasional tree on the left-hand side too. And could I have one of those fateful D20s for the party, please? A 12 is a pretty good D20. And so as you're moving along, no obvious threats, but are there any skills that you would wish to deploy as you are making your way along?
I feel like Barger would just be practicing with his sling, like just shooting out into the woods.
Sure, go ahead and give me, let's just call that a attack roll. So, roughly half of the stones you're throwing, you manage to hit the trunk of the tree or the branch you're looking for, so you can retrieve the stone if you like. The other ones are just like, out into the woods somewhere. You're not getting that one back.
Hopefully, no squirrels were harmed in the practicing of this sling.
So far, no squirrels have been harmed. There was the occasional acorn barrage coming back at you when you hit certain trees, but nothing too bad yet. Any other skill sets?
Gareth would just be keeping an eye out for any potential danger along the road.
Sure, go ahead and give me a perception or investigation. Your choice on that one. Nothing particularly obvious. You see a mushroom or two here that might be poisonous, but as long as you don't fall face first on it, you'd be fine. Other than that, no real trouble. Orla Swidgen?
Orla wants to go and go down to where the beachy area is there and see if she can find a little bit of some different, like see what kind of sand is down there.
Sure. How about an investigation there? So as you head down there and you start taking a look around, not a lot of actual sand to be found. You find some fairly well-ground stone, and that's what gave the impression, little tiny pebbles, but nothing of actual sand here. A lot of clay on the banks, though. It looks like this area is fairly densely stoned and fairly damp.
Could I see any? Are there any special colors on those stones?
Oh, sure. Let's call. Go ahead, and give me. Let's call that an insight check. So the area that you're passing through is got a lot of sedentary stones in it, and so you can see kind of the layers that have built up. in here would be lots of little rocks that might be pretty if they're polished up, but not a lot of valuable metals if you were going after, any signs of gold deposits, any signs of gem deposits, that sort of thing. But pretty stones. They've got a lot of variations in them, a lot of little colored flecks.
I'm going to pick up just something that's not too big, but looks kind of like I could maybe break it up with my hands a little bit, smash it up.
Mhm.
And I'm going to put it in my pocket, take it with me.
You got it.
Go back to the party.
Rock acquired. Swidgen.
I think he might be checking for giant boar tracks.
Survival check for giant boar tracks, please. He has learned his lesson. There are a couple of boar tracks as you are moving through. They go down to the water and then come back up, but none that look immediately recent or only go one way. So you're not seeing any signs of danger, though. Though you do see a couple more of those mushrooms scattered about.
We'll just stay together if we see any boars this time, Swidgen.
Sure. And so the party.
The mushrooms look interesting enough to maybe you might want to collect them or stay clear of them.
They look of the type that you probably don't want to eat, but you could certainly collect. Could I have a nature check if you're going to take a moment to stop and collect some mushrooms?
It's probably not a good idea. Let's see.
So you go down to try and pick them up, and they're just kind of fragile. You go to try and get them scooped, and like the little tops of them sort of break and fall apart. They're not very deep into the ground, so you can't really like pluck them up, and they almost go to powder and spore in your hand as you pick them up. You brush them off on your hands. No danger. You didn't like lick your fingers yet, at least not that I know of. Swidgen, are you a finger licker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes.
But as long as you haven't been doing it in the last few minutes, you're okay. All right. And as the party continues along there, we will eventually reach the Queen's Wood stop. The Phileffels, Squire Kijo and Dame Livy, greet you warmly as you approach. At the moment, they've got a carriage that has reached there as well. Must have been coming down from the north. So the squire is going over with them, kind of the ways to be polite to the road as they move down. And the dame comes over to greet you. Welcome. I take it you've taken us up on our offer for the quest to deal with this Gamboling Hall.
Sure. That's what we're here for.
Excellent. Well, as you probably read, some of our youngsters and rapscallions have banded together to form a gambling hall. It's a roving party. If it was deeper into our woods, it would not be troublesome, but as it gets nearer to human lands, it can cause a bit of a stir. Now, our good queen has relaxed some of the monitoring that's being done on the youngsters, and I think it's intentional. But we feel that causing too much of a stir amongst our good neighbors here would be troublesome. So we're hoping that a band of adventurers could dissuade them from their festivities, sort of spoil the party. Now, they haven't done anything wrong yet that we know of, so going in there swords drawn is not an option. That would cause quite the incident. But if you could cause them to not wish to party anymore, that would be fantastic. My husband and I would attempt it, but such festivities are sort of in our blood, and it could be a few decades before we tired of dancing ourselves.
So, my lady, of course, it does our heart glad to see you again. And By the way, it's most welcoming to see your husband is providing guidance to travelers from the north. Perhaps the future commerce and cooperation that we hoped for seems to be taking root along the northern road, and that is good. Do we understand correctly then that those involved in this gambling hall, all the scallywags, they're all elves such as yourselves?
No, few elves have taken up with them at this point. These are some of our wilder cousins.
Could you be more specific? I'm afraid, at least in my case, I may not know of which type you speak.
Well, normally, for a hall to be truly gambling, we would need at least one or two of the tree spirits, treants, dryads, and such things to actually get the hall on the move. After that, there's normally a master of ceremonies of sorts, someone who has taken it upon themselves to keep the hall going. That could be anyone. Um, Pixies, sprites, the leprechauns, satyrs, chorids, and she basically just lists everybody who's known to party in the Fey Realms, and it's everybody.
Hmm. Then
Occasionally, go ahead.
manacles probably won't be very effective then against such persons.
Well, the touch of cold iron is distasteful to them, but I would hope such things would only become necessary if they grew rowdy and as a
Hmm.
last resort.
I'm sorry, you were speaking. I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was just thinking occasionally even the darkest of us will take part, but such a thing hasn't been seen in years.
You speak of the drow.
Uh, the drow, yes, on rare occasion, but more some of the slaw and even the occasional hag will be known to turn a heel from now and then, but I think that would be far beyond what the queen would allow.
Hmm.
So
Well, I don't
it's
know if others have questions, but I'm just wondering, perhaps if you or the squire have any advice for us in what kind of tactics you think might be effective in dispersing such a merry gathering.
well, have you ever noticed, Sir Gareth, that Sir Squire, she would know the right one.
Just, I'm not yet a squire, my lady. Please just
Okay,
call me Gareth,
Gareth.
and I am in your service, my lady.
Oh, of course. So Gareth, have you ever noticed that if you were to begin discussing, politics or even perhaps religion at a festivity where dancing is involved, the dancers tend to move away from you?
I've been told on occasion that there may not always be the ideal time to lecture on the nature of the gods.
Yes.
So, yes,
Such things, anything really to bring the mood down or away from such a party. Um, it could be any number of things, um, but that seemed obvious at the moment. My husband has that same effect sometimes.
Are are they well funded?
They tend to be. They often gather money as they go.
I was just thinking that like if we actually went and gambled and won all the money that they had, then we could like they'd have to shut down, right? Because they wouldn't have any more money.
That would certainly work if you were able to win such a feat and did not get caught up in the gambling yourself.
I beware of
Okay.
such temptation, Beric.
And
Oh, why is that?
Well, I understand that your motivations in this are one to acquire coin. So I hope that you would not accidentally find yourself partaking too much in whatever festivities are happening in this gambling hall. Since our goal is to shut it down.
Okay.
Is gambling illegal in this jurisdiction?
Oh no. That's
Wait.
why that's why it is more a dissuade them than a imprison them situation at the moment. To dance and make merry is to be what we are, but some restraint must be shown near the border.
So the problem is the gambling or the noise? Because Tumblestone, they were talking about how noisy they are, and nobody seems to complain about that.
It is more how easily certain folks are caught up and find themselves unable to stop. When you live several hundred years, a decade or so lost to merriment is not particularly troublesome, but for the shorter lived, it can be detrimental.
I heard from the brothers at the Abbey. I remember in my days of service when they spoke of the Fey realm, it was always a bit of trepidation that time there passes differently, that mortals can find themselves entering the Fey realm or trapped among Fey in their games and never to return.
Trapped is a bit of a slur.
I meant no offense, my lady.
It is,
Ensnared.
it is, it, and again, if you are invited to participate and can't stop, that's not entirely the fault of the Fae, but I understand, and we we have been known to refer to others as weak-willed fools, whereas you may refer to us as tempters and ensnarers. It's really a matter of, you know, knowing one's limits.
Is there somebody there that you particularly need to get back? Is somebody there that you want back?
No, we haven't had that level of trouble yet, at least I hope not. But there are many settlements among the woods and many trappers and woodcutters who do wander, and we wish to stop the problem before it becomes a problem.
So if we went there, is there some way that we could protect ourselves from getting sucked into this? I don't think I want to be a gambler, but if you're thinking that it's something that might happen, I don't know. I guess I want to know what I can do.
Well, personally, if I don't wish to be a gambler, I simply don't gamble. But whatever restraints you might need to make for yourself, um, set a firm limit, rely on your friends, bit of string around the pinky to remind yourself, any of those.
And
The
pray
the
to
other thing,
Erroneous for guidance.
the
Of
other thing
course,
you could do is leave your money here, or give it to me. I could hang on to it.
I suppose you could find a responsible party in whom to invest your funds. I'm
Hmm.
not sure I could counsel that at this time, but it is an option.
Yes, I would also be willing to hold on to anyone's money as well.
Or is going to grab like a string from her and it's like tie it around her pinky.
Sure. And now, as far as where the hall is, uh, the creatures of the woods seem to be indicating it is still to the south and east, which is good. Really, as long as we can keep it away from the roadway, um, preferably disperse it, but if we could turn it back to the elven lands, it could be a fine entertainment for the folk. as it passes by, but I'm afraid certain folk can't handle their entertainment.
Well, I give you my word, Lady Dame, that I will do my best to see that no harm comes to anyone there.
Splendid, splendid.
And if I may ask, and I'm sure others may also still have questions, but I'm wondering, you remember the last mission that that you and the Lord Squire entrusted us with, exploration of the slime and ooze infested swamp where we recovered the gem. There were some undead that were active there. Have you had any word if those undead are still there, if the problem has gotten worse?
At the moment, I have not investigated that yet. That is to the west, and this is more troubling and closer to our homes. So, while the undead are a problem that we would certainly need resolved, it is not a problem that would reflect poorly upon our relationship. Uh, and that is what I seek to prevent more than anything at present.
I see. Well, perhaps we can speak more of that on our return. And also, I believe uh, I'd hope to also discuss something of your nightly order. I'd like to learn more about that. Perhaps we could discuss that upon our return as well.
Oh, of course, we're always happy to speak on it. It would be entertaining to hear Squire Kijo give you his lessons and see how well he's been doing taking his notes. Someday, I hope he will be able to take his oaths in earnest, but I do occasionally suspect it was just a courtship maneuver that he took them in the first place.
I understand. Well, I can only assure you my own intent is serious. But I thank you for entertaining my interests,
Oh,
my
not
lady.
at all. I do appreciate a serious suitor. And so, as the party is able to take a night or take a day, the question now becomes when would you like to pursue this gambling haul into the gnarly forest? You can set out during the day, during the night. No real indication what might be more beneficial or less. What would the party like to do?
So what? Okay, so I came up with the idea that we could gamble their money away, but I was thinking about it, and maybe a better option would be to take their money. We could
Wouldn't that be
steal
stealing?
it. We could steal it. Ill-gotten gains and all, and then we could, if you want, we could give it to your church.
Well, stealing is still stealing, Barrick. I mean, despite what you intend to do with the money, if the source of it is still wrong and you're taking wrongfully from others, that doesn't make it right.
Yes, when it comes to the criminal element, I wish to beat them, not join them.
I thought you were entering a dance competition or something like that. Is that? I don't. I mean, are you talking about playing cards or like dancing?
Who are you talking to? Me?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
everybody really. You're all
I
talking about
I could
cards.
dance if you want me to.
That
I
would be
think you
something to behold.
I think you might want to tie a string to your finger because I think you might have to resist that.
Yeah, Barrick, before we undertake any activity that could support what's going on at the gambling hall, perhaps first we should look into ways to see if we can shut it down. So I saw how perhaps when we were journeying here and I was discussing the various traditions of worship, those who follow Moradin and those who follow Garl Glittergold, you might have been not completely paying attention all the time. So I
I
just had, and I take no
I
offense.
was actively trying to tune you out.
You see, so I can't help but wonder if I was to undertake a similar lecture in the gambling hall, if that might help piece the activity there.
Or they could actively tune you out.
They might.
I
They
think
might.
That might be a good way to get ourselves killed.
Surely not. But it might dissuade them, help them see, the error of their ways, and that they should spend more time in honest toil and less time in the gambling hall.
Wait,
I'm often
are you
confused.
are you saying
Sorry.
that gambling is not honest?
Well, I have to confess, I have not spent much time in such establishments, but my understanding is that they exist
Want to
primarily to
bet?
profit the owners. That depends on the wager, my good Barry.
Swidgen, did you have something to add?
More a point of clarification. If the activities these people are engaging in are not illegal, under what grounds do we stop them? It sounds as if we may need to commit illegal acts in order to stop lawful acts, which is not really my bag.
Well, my understanding is that the cavorting at this gambling hall is reached such a degree of celebration that it's threatening to disrupt peace in the forest and could become a source of greater irritation, under which perhaps force might have to be used. So the idea that the Lady Dame suggested is that we find a way to have them assist, break up, or at worst move their gambling hall, so it will not become such a distraction and a source of a worsening ills in the future.
I would like to point out that I'm on Swidgen's side. Like, if the stuffy people are trying to tell the people that are having fun how to have fun, then what right do people like you, Gareth, have to do that?
Well, that is an excellent question, my good Barrick. And I would just say you'll recall that our motivations in coming here, above all else, are to find a way for the peoples, both north and south, to improve their relations. And anything that we can do that helps uh, build a common community where most feel welcome and where greater opportunity and prosperity are presented, then that's in the interest of for both the Fey folk and our colleagues and our comrades and families who dwell in Hommlet. So, if this gambling hall is causing such a source of disruption and threatens to worsen in the future, then we're duty bound to try to assist in the situation. And I agree with you that, of
But
course, people
but
should have
is
fun.
it a disruption, or are they trying to bring the communities together in a common interest of gambling?
Hmm. Well, if you feel seriously, if you and Swidgen both feel serious on this matter, then I suggest you ask the Squire and the Lady Dame why they think this gambling hall and threatens the tranquility of the forest.
I believe that I understand their stuffy motivations for trying to get rid of the gambling hall. But who's to say that the people that are running the gambling hall aren't just trying to make new friends?
Mm. Well, then perhaps our focus should be on asking them or trying to convince them to move their establishment further to the east into the Fey realm, and where they won't be a disruption or a distraction here. Because I don't
But
see us convincing
how
the Elven Queen
how
to change her mind.
how are they supposed to make new friends if they're just in the Fey realm?
Well, why don't we go there and talk to them, and then we can assess the situation.
Sure. So I think the conversation will bounce back and forth a little bit throughout the evening, questioning on the morality of it. But The settle to it might be let's go see what's going on there. Let's hear their side of the story. And so we're going to need 2 dice rolls. The first one is a D100 for our weather. Whoever would like to be in charge of our D100 weather die. Higher is nicer weather. And then the second one will be our D20 fateful die. Lower will be more fateful. Could I have a D100 and a D20 from whoever would like to start rolling dice? A 4 is a little low on our 1D20. How's our D100? But it's a nice day at least. So let's go ahead and flip over, and we should see a black screen for a second. Just a second here as we get some things revealed. Boop. And the party has made their way a bit into the forest. As they are making their way along, kind of looking for any sort of sign of this gambling hall, though it is a bit ill-defined what it is. What you find is more of those very crumbly mushrooms. A track of them, in fact, nearly 100 feet across. At the edges of the track, there are more mushrooms. So there's, clusters and clumps and almost a carpet of them for 5 or 10 feet. And then the middle area, there's a sprinkling of them and another clump of 5 or 10 feet over there. It's heading off into the distance, and you can see older is behind you. They're more crumbly and almost gone by now, but up ahead, they are fresher looking. And a few of them hold up enough that you can harvest them, pluck them without them going to dust. So that's the newer stuff up ahead. The mushrooms themselves, not the best ones to eat. You determined that earlier, so probably don't roll around in these, but not immediately harmful to be nearby.
Could I take a closer look at those?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead and give me, let's call it a nature check as you start to check out the mushrooms. So you duck down, you try and get a closer look at them, but like every one that you go to take a look at seems to crumble, and you're like, that one's going to be fine. I'm going to go get, and poof, and poof. It's almost like they're doing it on purpose.
What in the world? I can't even get close to these things. They go poof when I go close.
And,
it's odd.
And you find yourself maybe 20, 30 feet ahead of the party by the time you realize that they're poofing and poofing and poofing, and then you're like, and you look back and your friends are way back there now.
Orla, are you all right?
I think so. There's a lot of poofing going on.
Do they present any danger? I mean, these kind of
I'd like to thank you for being over there if you're poofing.
Who taught you how to aim on that sling?
Should we be worried about these mushrooms, Orla?
I have no idea. I'm coming back. Gonna try to go back towards the party.
Sure, you walk back over, and you like as you're walking over, you see another one like that one. I could definitely grab hold of that one.
What? Okay, this one I'm gonna get. I'm gonna just kind of dive on it. And
and you were starting to head to the party. You saw that one, then you're like, yarg! And you go over there and you like grab hold of it, and it just. You kind of.
Just gonna sit up and be like, try to like dust on her face.
Yeah, it's just like powdery. I mean, it doesn't smell bad, but it's got that like earthy smell to it that you're like, I am now mushroom person.
This is good, actually. I don't mind it. So do I see anything else around me besides just
like the mushrooms are just like probably if I got a fresher one. So like probably if you ran ahead like 20, 30 yards and then got one, because you're kind of working on the old trail. If you got closer to the new trail,
It
off to the
looks like that.
sides. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Yeah, it,
Off to the sides, you can see there's rocks and there's trees, and the mushroom. It's not just a path of mushroom. There's trees in the way and that sort of stuff. But you know, maybe some of the ones that were in the shade of those trees up there, those would probably still be good.
it looks like there's up ahead. I might be able to get one. Should I keep trying this, or what do you think I should do?
Let's stay together, Orla.
You mean together, like right next to each other together?
Well, I don't want you to getting too far ahead and out of sight.
Okay. All right. Could I just slow up or walk
Sure,
back towards them?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
walk back towards them.
I'm gonna walk back towards them.
You just stroll back over, just like mushrooms. And as the rest of the party's kind of moving up, you can see kind of a line where the mushrooms in the middle stop and form kind of a U or a half circle shape. And you can see that there's a big pile of boulders and a couple of big tree roots coming down. And the ring of mushrooms kind of goes like that. Now off to the sides there, it continues on kind of a bigger track, but just kind of right in front of you, there's a bit of a half circle area where they aren't yet.
Has
You okay,
anyone ever
Orla?
seen? Sorry, go ahead, Briggs.
Are you okay, Orla?
I got this stuff all over me, but it smells pretty good. You want to smell?
I fear it may be harmful if ingested or inhaled.
Yeah,
You
have a
should
care.
really be careful.
It is all over me. I kind of can't avoid smelling it.
Can we help dust you off?
She's gonna sort of shake her hair out and just kind of.
It's just like a little cloud explosion.
Just take the edge of my cloak and try to dust her off. A little
Yeah,
bit.
just kind of, and like as you're doing that, you hear like, "What are you doing?" And it's a deep kind of rumbly voice. And as you're kind of continuing to move a little bit forward, you can see where there's big tree roots lead up to a big tree. Now this whole area is well and truly shaded. And looking up, you can see that it is not just the, trees of the forest that were already pretty densely packed, but now a large tree towering over the others is spreading foliage over there as well. And sitting on one of the boulders is a gray-skinned fellow. His proportions are squat even for a dwarf, but very thick. Depicted as having quite a bit of hair, he does not. He is quite bald, both of beard and of head. If you were familiar with the gray dwarves, he might look to you immediately like a Druger, but no, not quite. He's got a little bit of a wilder look to him. We're now scaling everyone to size here. And as he calls out, just in amusement, looking at you, dusting off your gnome with your cape. What are you doing there?
Did you hear that? Who's laughing? Who's somebody laughing at me?
He sort of like raises his head, hand. Over here, top the
greetings.
boulder.
Hello, good
Greetings.
sir.
Welcome. Come on out of the mushrooms.
I
Are
Make
these
your way
mushrooms
over.
poisonous?
Poisonous? No. They taste bad. numb your tongue.
Are they always so crummy?
I don't know. They always look fine to me. And he gestures out, and you can see the carpet of mushrooms where he is, kind of looking down on. They look fairly fresh. And now as
Well,
you're
then
kind of stepping on the newer ones, they're kind of like falling over out of your way rather than turning into puffballs.
Ow.
Good sir, we're looking for the gambling hall.
Well, you found it. And he sort of gestures up to the tree above his head.
Oh, excellent. How do we get in?
Well, you climb. And he gestures up to the tree, and you look up at it, and it's probably 50 feet around, maybe more. It's got some like nooks. It's bark, but climbing that barehanded, that might be a trick. Goes up real far. Probably a good 300, 400 feet to the point that he's sort of gesturing up to, and kind of like you can sort of make out that maybe there's some like platforms or something up there amongst the branches and the boughs.
I'm
So,
afraid such a
presume-
feat of climbing is beyond most of our skill. Is there not another easier way to reach the hall?
Ah, well, if you need some help, pick, pock, pack. And as he calls out the names, you see little glimmers of light appear, and a small group of pixies fly up from around the corners and start approaching. They'll be happy to help you climb.
Do we
Or
recognize
the-
that symbol behind him?
Do you recognize that
Or is that
symbol
laid down
behind
the
him?
tree?
I feel like that would be a history check.
Oh, not too good.
Can we help? Can one of us help?
Sure.
Or no.
I'll offer some guidance to whoever does it.
Well, who has the best history?
The best of the histories.
I have two. I could do it if that works.
Okay.
Okay, I'll help.
And so I think I heard an I'll help. So with advantage and the roll, who's rolling the die though?
Okay.
Lyra is, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought I was
Yeah.
helping. What do I do then? I just do it
Just
Add
roll at
advantage.
advantage.
Yep, history with advantage.
history with advantage. Okay, sorry.
You got it. And the emblem is not as depicted in the artwork. I can't afford to pay people for every emblem. But you do recognize that there is an emblem here, and it is that of the Fey Queen herself. Though it's a different style than that you would have seen at the Woodstop. Whereas the one at the Woodstop sort of had a good neighbor feel to it. This one is definitely a this is our land kind of feel.
Hmm.
It's got a little more militaristic, a little more exclusionary. There is no sign of any human involvement in this particular emblem.
Orla wants to like go up to the closest person, like here, and say, whisper, say like, who is that guy? Who, we got to find out who he is.
Hmm.
I believe he may be the bouncer for this casino.
And as he's standing there, he's just like rubbing his bald head, just like,
Good sir, I beg your pardon, but I've never met a creature, a person such as yourself before. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your position here.
oh, well, I'm Edward. I am common. I am a Kored. And Percy, okay. And I deal with the rocks. And as he does so, he sort of like takes a little step to the side, and you realize that very, very slowly, all of these rocks and boulders are rolling. Like you would not notice unless you stared at it, but they're just slowly turning and sort of moving away from you.
You deal with the rocks. What do you mean?
Well, this is a gambling hall, so the hall must gamble, and I see to the gambling of the rocks. Stick and sap, see to the trees.
So the rocks and the trees are the ones who are doing the gambling?
Well, we all do from time to time, but the hall itself must gamble along with us.
I'm confused.
Yeah, this is quite unusual. Perhaps you have some advice for first-time visitors who are not from this place to the hall.
Oh, well, once you've climbed up, you will find yourself with the choices three. You may choose to join the dreamers, the schemers, or the streamers. There you can take your entertainments, and of course, costumes are provided for you.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the activities of these three groups?
Well, I don't wish to spoil the surprise, but as our hall gambles, so too do people gamble in the Hall of Streamers. As those who choose the other form of gambling may delight, that is in the Hall of Schemers. And should you need respite, that is for the Hall of Dreamers.
Have you received any complaints about the gambling hall?
None that have reached my ears.
And if perhaps, for example, there were citizens or people who dwelt nearby in the forest and who were concerned about the nature of the celebrations here, of the level of raucousness, perhaps that threatens to disturb the tranquility of the forest, what would you say to such a person?
Ah, no citizen of Selene would be troubled by what we do. We leave very little trace of our passing. And he gestures back to where the mushrooms are, and you realize that if this giant tree, and you kind of look past and there's two others in the distance like it, are going through, there should be ground torn up and all that sort of stuff. Yet there are trees far too close together for this to have passed, so they must be moving the land around them in some fashion. And very
Leaving the
slowly you can see
mushrooms?
that. Good?
Are the mushrooms like a trace, like a trail that they're leaving as they're moving then?
It does appear to be, though that trail was fading reasonably quickly.
Hmm.
And as you sort of like look to either side, you can see that the mushrooms continue on around at least this tree, and beyond it another two large ones rise. And it looks like the trees, the three large ones, exist within this ring of mushrooms.
Must confess, I've never before seen such a place. Well, perhaps others you have questions for Edward, but we could make our way then to the hall.
So can we see? So is it moving towards us right now? So to the
Currently
south?
moving away from you. So
Oh, it's so
it'd be
we're
heading
like in the.
yeah, it'd be heading more northward. You followed the trail of mushrooms up to it and then caught up with it there. And as you watch, like it's very slow, but you can kind of see the boulders rolling away from you. You like see the roots shifting very, very slowly, but it's something that you would like really need to watch to catch it happening. But after a minute or two, you realize I am a foot further away from this than I was before.
So it looks like it's moving really slowly. I wonder if it goes faster, or if something makes it go faster or slower. Is this a thing? Is this something we should think about?
For the
Does it turn?
direction.
Does it
Yeah.
turn?
What determines the speed and the direction of the gambling hall, Edward?
Oh, stick, slap, pick, peck, pock, and pack. See to such things. I simply follow along.
Is there a reason why it has to be going the direction it's going, or could it go another direction?
I think we could go wherever we like. Pick, peck, pack, pock. And they all go, sure.
Hmm.
Little chorus of voices like, we like this way. It's downhill.
Hmm. Would you consider going east?
Oh, we came from east.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Edward sort of like looks at you like, and the pixies that are kind of at this point near enough to you that you can see them now. They're close enough that even though they're only yay high, they're visible. They're kind of one of them's looking up at Orla like, "You're tall." Um, and
Hmm.
just yeah, we're going this way. Seems fun.
Wouldn't it be better and safer to go back in the direction, the path that you know and where you've already come from?
Who wants that?
The stuffy people.
And they're like, "We got you."
Yeah.
Um, well, should we go up and see what's going on? Do we
Well,
Yeah,
hear a
let's
lot
make
of
our way.
noise?
Do you hear a lot of noise? I think a perception check might help you with that. Whoop, whoop. So you hear two distinct sets of sounds. One of which is you are hearing trees fall in the forest way more often than they have any right to be. Like every couple of minutes, you just hear like something come crashing down, and then like a little pause, then something come crashing down. You see no evidence of tree fall in the past, but just over and over again, you're hearing trees falling. Along with that, you hear a very steady, bassy beat coming down from up above, accompanied by some piping. So somewhere up there, there's a that's like it's reaching you, even though you shouldn't kind of hear it because it is just that bass. So you're kind of feeling it, and then you can tell that there's music going on, but the music's too far away.
Sounds like some dancing.
Oh yes.
different. What's the difference between these trees? There's 3 trees.
Uh, well, this tree, and he sort of like looks up a bit. Uh, Scheming Hall, uh, Dreaming Hall, and Streaming Hall.
Yep. I
I'm
hear the
beginning to
streamers are not
suspect
to be trusted.
these mushrooms may have hallucinogenic properties.
Careful there, my wife Corinne's up there.
Hmm.
Well, thank you
Uh,
for all the introduction information, Edward. Should we make our way up then?
Oh, of course, of course. And
to which one?
peck, pick, pock, and pack fly over towards you. Like, are you ready to climb?
Yes.
Maybe start with the scheming hall? What do you think?
Sure.
Sure. And so they kind of like lead you over to where the kind of the easiest way up the roots at the moment is, and as they're leading up you and kind of flying right before you start to make your way up, and as you're making your way up, it gets easier and easier to climb. Your claws start digging into the bark very well, and occasionally you flutter your wings just to give yourself a little boost. And as you find yourself at the top, um, you discover that all 4 of you are Tressims. And one moment. And Tressims, for those who do not know, are winged cats. They are of average intelligence, so 11 or so on the intelligence, 10 or so on the wisdom. You're able to communicate with one another and other Fey folk in Tressim. And as you kind of make your way up there, if you could double check that you can move your tokens around, you're sort of looking around. Pick, peck, pack, sorry, peck, pick, pock, and pack, sort of like say, good luck, and then start to fly back down.
Thank you.
And you, meow, thank you. Looking around up here, to the west, you can see some light coming out from an entranceway, likely the entrance to the Hall of Schemers. And to the north, you can see a large platform which is just covered with small sets of clothing. Your clothing has currently melded with your form, so you are, as far as cats ever are, undressed.
This is not what I was expecting.
What were you expecting exactly?
That we would be in our form such as we are here, but I didn't know we would be changing. This is quite unusual.
This
Oh.
is amazing.
And like Peck like looks back at you, but you said you wanted help. Good luck, and then darts down.
I fear I may be insane.
No good switching. We're all changed thus.
Orla wants to try to like do it, like see what she can do with the wings, like flip around a little bit, kind of.
Sure.
Just a little bit.
You can get a little bit of loft. You would definitely need way more practice before you would feel comfortable like jumping off the tree branch. But you can pump yourself up there and then you're like flutter, 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 flop. You suspect if you were to fall from here, you could probably manage to stop your fall enough not to take damage on the ground, but flying is a little bit beyond you. You don't quite know where the muscles are.
So is that how we get down? We just gonna kind of go that way with go down?
Sure. And as you start looking around, you can see that the ground below is just slowly rotating beyond you, below you, so looking down is just a little bit dizzying because the tree is in slow rotation. Not enough for you to feel it, but you can just see kind of things moving off in the distance there. Nearby, as you start to move around, you can see the platform to the north here has little suits of clothing for you if you should choose. This one is currently empty, and there's some paths running around. You can see the large tree trunk of the streaming hall up here to the north and west, and then another one for what you would guess to be the dreaming hall over here to the north and east.
So Gareth's maybe going to feeling a little bit immodest, may look at the clothing and see if he can put something on that would be suitable.
Sure. You head over and take a look at the clothing, and they've all got little kind of. It's a little bit capey-like because you got to get it over your head, and then it's got to have room for your wings. But they're in all sorts of colors and styles. Little top hats, little, Mac caps, all sorts of things. Your hands
Something
are
dignified.
Yeah. There's something dignified. Yeah. You manage to pick up something that looks a little bit like a tabard, though it doesn't really have like any real emblems on it. It looks a little bit like if you went to a Halloween store in the real world and bought like a child's costume. It's just sort of that like I'm a knight kind of costume.
I'll choose whichever one is most terrifying.
Devil Kitty.
The clown seat.
Clown suit. There's their clown suits. Like if you imagine like a Halloween costume store, that's kind of what they got going on for you there.
What are they trying to cover up?
Some people just like to dress. I mean, all cats
Maybe
are
it's
always
more-
in tails, so you're already formal.
It's more a presentation of style, perhaps, Eric. Making an introduction.
Okay. So you two could be the nobles and we'll be your bodyguards.
Orla wants to go and see if there's something that looks just like a peasant.
Sure. It's just a very common and, functional
Blending
sort
in.
of dress. Maybe little apron pockets on it.
Yep, that'd be great.
Sure, absolutely. And then where's
So which way, my friends?
Good question.
Which way did you say you thought the schemers were? That hall? We don't know.
Most likely south and west, based on where you climbed up and sort of the streamers to the north and west. You can hear the sound coming out of there now that you're up here a little louder. The bass is a little bit stronger, and you can start to hear some of the musical parts coming through.
So we could go to the streamer hall since it's right here, close to where we are. That's if everyone
Oh, sorry,
agrees.
schemers. Schemers are right near you. And as you kind of,
Okay.
I think someone has made their way down towards one of the doorway. It looks as though the opening has grown into the tree. This doesn't look carved or manufactured so much as it is a hole that is opened up in the tree. There's a set of like saloon doors on kind of springy branches, and you just sort of lean into them with your little cat shoulder or wings, and they sort of lean open. Inside, there are three sort of bench-like tables that have grown up, a longer one to the south and then two smaller ones. At the two smaller ones, there are a pair of fairies, beautiful butterfly wings. They seem to be acting as croupier or dealers or something of that, arranging for the bets, whereas there's a couple of occasionally excited, but more sort of like depressed looking Tressums there. Like every once in a while, one of them like perks up, but they look a little tired, a little weary. Like maybe they haven't been winning at all. In front of them, there are little little spun wire. Um, Looks to have been of gold, but they're about size of a marble, and look a little like a ball of spring. And one of them's just like sitting there, just like tapping like just one back and forth between its paws as it watches the fairies, and then and then it just like pop, and it sort of rolls over onto one of the squares on the table. On the south side, there's a fairly sprightly looking fellow, a lot of energy. There's one Tressum sitting across from him. He's got a green top hat that's set to his side, and he's gesturing grandly up and down the table. And the one that Tressum's there is like just like watching, like bank, bank, bank as this ball is flying all over the place, and he's trying to track it. Um, what's the party doing as they make their way in? I think I saw Gareth has made their way into the ring, and you could pick up on some of the conversation. They're betting on, what square things will land on. Seems like a roulette style game.
What are they betting?
Those little balls of gold string.
I mean, are they like talking, or is it
Oh
real
yeah, they're talking.
quiet?
Yeah, they're talking. I mean,
Okay.
it's meows. It's Tressum talk. But you can understand it. You can kind of you hear the meow, and then you pick up. Oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah, I'd say to the party, kind of under our breath, like let's try to get a sense of the room of what's happening here.
Sure. And
You said
so
a couple of them look depressed.
yeah, they just look like maybe they haven't had a winning night, and like they're kind of like sitting there and like watching it, trying to like wait for that. I got a good feeling about this number moment, but it seems a little like they're like this is maybe gone on a little too long, and like they push one of the little string balls over and they kind of let it go, and then one of the two sprites will throw up and down the table and bing, and one person gets paid out and they look happy and they're like purring and kind of like looking back and forth, and the other three so gambling hall kind of stuff.
I mean, are they getting paid out in coins?
Getting paid out in those little balls, so
So,
little gold spun balls.
so they have more and more of them, or they get larger and smaller?
They roll more towards them, so they end up with little piles of them, so like little pyramids stacked up of these little balls.
Okay. Is there somebody who has the most, or somebody who clearly has the least?
The house appears to be winning. So the house has the most. But of those that are currently doing well, the one at the end of the table here seems to be doing well, and the one at the corner of the table here seems to be doing well. So these two seem to be the most happy at the moment. The one looking the most desperate is this one right here, standing at the big table, just like watching.
I wonder what happens when they run out of their little gold yarn balls.
And like as you say that, the fellow at the end says, "What's that?" And oh, come over. Don't stand in the doorway. And it's this fella down here that's gesturing you forward.
This one down here.
Yep. And he's like Orla was like talking from the doorway. He's like, no, come on in, please. Happy to answer any questions you have. I am young Master Onest, and I welcome you to my gambling hall. Now, you had asked about the tokens. You see, since no one here comes with money, you may gamble on good faith. I will give you one token for a gold to be collected in the future. You can have as many as you like, though only gamble what you can afford. Can I set you up with some?
Yes, please.
Excellent. How many would you like?
Now, Berg, just a moment before you start partaking in the gambling. Perhaps we should learn a little bit more about this establishment. Tell me, Good Master Honest, if I got your name correctly, how long have you operated this gambling hall?
I'm known as the young Master Onest, though I am the good young Master Onest. I accept both. How long have we been at this? I think it's been a few months now since we opened our hall.
And have any complaints reached your ears about how perhaps goings on at the gambling hall might be disturbing the peace and tranquility of the Gnarley Forest?
Oh, my friend, you must understand I do run a gambling institution. If you're not complaining, I'll never make money. But such complaints are short-lived. We do provide excellent entertainment. And of course, the libations are free.
I imagine they are. But I don't know how much you know about the history of this region, but unfortunately, it was one that was often plagued by unrest, distrust, and even violence between the peoples, especially between humans and the Fey kind. And now there is a new era, and the hope is that actions can be taken to bring greater prosperity and cooperation between these peoples. And it could be that the activities of your gambling hall might be contributing to those tensions.
I can't see how an entertainment such as mine would increase tensions, though I do understand that it would increase prosperity, mine particularly. But that is the nature of such things, entertainment for prosperity.
What would it take to persuade you to perhaps take your gambling hall back east?
To take my hall back east, well, I don't know that I could do that alone. There are two others halls here, and one hall alone cannot gamble, and two is very unsteady. So, I think all three of us would have to agree, though I can't see why we would. It has become more and more popular as we've traveled. And he gestures about to the Tressums. And you.
Well, that which is popular is not always good. And what would you say if you knew that the Fey Queen herself wished that your gambling hall would not be disturbing the tranquility of the Gnarly Forest?
Oh, if it was the Queen's command, of course we would obey, but I've heard none such.
I'll take 3.
Excellent. And he slides over and they just sort of roll towards you and all right, gold coins are nice. I'm not going to knock gold coins. But when a ball of golden wire comes tumbling towards your little cat paws, there's just a special feeling.
I'll start batting it around.
So as you now, you're at the big table, of course. Win big, only lose a little. As you can see, we have 100 potential places where the ball can land, and he gives his little ball a pew and it ping, 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 banks it all over the place. Now, as you can see, there are 2 places you cannot bet. 1 and 100. All others are yours. to be bet upon. If you can choose the correct place, you will win 100 of the gold back. But
Okay.
if you choose incorrectly, I get to keep it.
I will put 2 balls down on 69.
Okay. You put 2 balls down on 69. He's like, nice. Uh, and at that point, he says, now, I will call no more bets once the ball has begun to slow, but you do have a few moments to keep your eye on it as best you can. And he just rips it and bang, 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 bang. And he just like lifts his hand and the one sitting beside you look a little desperate, like desperately trying to keep track of this ball bouncing back and forth. He's like, no more bets. And it's slowed down a little bit, but it's still a good number of ricochets before it goes around. And could I have someone roll me a fateful D100?
I think that should be Barry.
Fateful D100 rolls a 7, and he collects his 2 golden wire balls. Now, as you may notice, and he gestures towards where your fur and feathers are, you now have 2 strands marked. We'll need to be repaid, and I will collect in due time.
So you see the dangers here, Barry. Imagine how many might have already been impoverished by these activities.
Impoverished.
Well, you just lost 2 gold yourself.
2
I
gold
have plenty of gold.
Yes, 2 gold is a trifle. I barely would cover the cost of that fine drink on the way over to you. And as you look over, there's a little ant walking towards you with just like a little flower held above its head that's got just a little tiny bit of some form of nectar perhaps inside it, and it's like offering its little drink up to you.
I'll drink it.
Hey, take a Oh, that was some strong mead.
Have a care, Barry. All right. But Gareth would like to talk to the desperate-looking other gambler here at this table.
Sure, they sort of look over at you like, yeah, what do you need? I got to keep an eye on this.
While that's happening, is
Sure.
Orla able to kind of like sort of unobtrusively like look around and see if it seems like the house is playing fair?
So the house is definitely set to win statistically. The odds are a little bit better at the smaller tables. They only have 1 number blocked off in numbers 1 through 75, whereas the big one has 2 numbers blocked off 1 through 100. So if math holds up, they will slowly take people's money. But the ones that are cheering and winning are getting piles handed back to them, but everybody seems to get the pile and then be like, God, just one more. Nobody that you've noticed is walking away, and a lot of the Tressums have that golden fur.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to
Sure.
kind of do that while you were talking to the gambler.
Yeah. Give me a quick, let's call it an insight check.
Me?
Yep. Yes, please, Orla.
Okay.
And so that's more, so mathematically, it looks, air quotes, fair. Reading the dealers, they seem to just be having a good time. Like, obviously, they're trying to take your money, but the 2 sprites and then Mr. Onest just seems to be, having fun, yucking it up. Like when somebody wins, whoop, the pile goes over. They don't look sad about it. Just, there's your pile. You ready to go again?
This may also be an insight check, although it's more internal. But Swidgen will kind of paw at his belly and try to figure out if any of this is real, or did he like fall and bump his head?
Sure. You kind of like look for your belly button. You're like, 1 nipple, 2 nipples, 3, 4. So yeah, go ahead. Let's call
You're
it
female now.
Yeah. Let's call it. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh,
That's real good. So, You're checking yourself out, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I am a Tressym, but magic is 100% involved. You're not you are magicked. You are certain that you are magicked, and you are a Tressym. But without some sort of other insight from you, I don't know that I can give you more information than that.
All right. I think I'll breathe a sigh of relief just to know it's real. And, then join Orla in watching for any cheaters.
Sure. So, watching for any cheaters. Give me a perception on that one. You don't see anyone actively cheating right now, and that actually strikes you as a little bit suspicious. With people standing around and gambling, you would expect like maybe a nudge it to the right spot after they call time or try and pull back a bet. You're not seeing like anybody even trying the signs of cheating, which seems weird.
Mm. I think some of them have been at this game so long they've forgotten themselves, and that's where he's trying to ask the one that's looking desperate here, like, "How long have you been at this, my friend?"
Huh? Uh, uh, it doesn't matter. I'm in deep, and he just sort of like gestures down, and his chest is just like gold most of the way down. He's like, ah, a while, not too long.
Oh, but
What
as you
time is
say,
it?
you are. It's well, it's midday, and I tell him like what day it is, where
And
we've
you
been.
like it's midday, and he like looks around. He's like, what? And as you sort of like look around with him, it's real hard to tell it's midday right now. Like you look out there, the shadows are not quite in the right spot for it to be midday. This is more like a early evening kind of feel that you have as you look outside. You know, the glow's kind of orangey. It's not late yet. It's definitely not late, and it's not as early as midday, but it's eh,
Don't you think you'd be better off quitting now?
winning now. I think yeah, win now. What?
Quitting,
Quitting?
don't without
No,
getting any further in debt.
I'd be months paying this off. I mean, I just need one. Just got to get a feel like that. You see it coming. I almost got his pattern down. Like he likes to throw right-handed. He throws low, gets a bounce on it, and tends to land on the right side of the table. I'm getting him. I'll get him. You want in? I got a system.
Do you? It doesn't seem to have been serving you well.
Well, takes a while to figure out the system, you see. But
A system, you say. So what number should I bet on?
you know what? You spot me a couple, and I'll split the winning with you.
Don't encourage him, Barry.
All right.
All right. So here's the thing. You spot me 5. We're going to cover this row here. And he's looking at between 91 and 96.
Okay.
All right.
We could do that.
So, Barrig, you were down to 1, so you go in for 4. You're 4 more deep.
4 more, yeah.
All right. So you lay up 91 to 96. He lays down his 1. All right. We're splitting the winnings. Remember, it's my system. And could I have somebody roll me a D100?
I would like to ask Orla to roll the
Orla,
number.
would you be so kind as to roll a D100?
Sure.
A 51 is not 91 through 96. A couple of more golden furs appear on Barrick's chest. He says, now, the thing
Sorry.
is with the system, you can't give up. Again.
That's exactly what the house wants you to do: is keep playing and get further into debt, my friends.
No, you see, that's what the house wants you to think that you want to think. Because if
One
you
more time.
quit, exactly, one more time. And you go in for 6 more so you can line it up on all 6. And
All
can I
right.
see 91 to 96?
Who's feeling lucky?
Who's feeling
I
lucky?
think Gareth should roll this for me.
I don't think I could do that. I wouldn't feel right to do that.
Switching?
DM will be rolling in a second. 1d100.
I can blow on them.
All right.
I've heard that helps.
Hey, whatever makes you feel better. The young Master Onest holds out the little ball so you can blow on. It's a little kind of tree sappy resin ball. It's got a nice bounce to it. Whew.
Little crystals of frost will appear on it as he blows on it. Not really doing anything, but just cold breath.
All right. And he wings it. See? There we go. He's playing right into our hands, the Tressums tells you. 2 more times and we'll have him. And the young Master Onest and pulls over his little things.
Wait, how much would I win if it landed on my number?
100.
100 gold?
100 tokens.
Oh,
Which are
100
worth 100
tokens.
gold. Yes. But we deal in
All
tokens
right.
here.
And how much winnings would it take to break the house, young Master Onest?
To break the house? My word. I don't know that anyone's ever said that. At 100 to 1, I would think perhaps if someone were so lucky as to place 250 gold coins on a single number and get it, perhaps the house would have trouble covering it.
You see, Baron.
That would be 25,000 gold that you would have won from me. That would be almost the entire pot.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. I don't know if I want to do 2 more, but I'll do 1 more.
So numbers 1 through 96 again?
91
through 96.
Yeah.
All right. And he's telling you it's 2 more, but go ahead. See, you should have stuck with your 69 roll. You got to play the same set 4 rolls in a row. That's how they get you. They love 3s. They hate 4s. Young Mr. Onest collects it, and another couple of furs go gold.
All right, well, I guess I'll walk away. Good luck to you, sir.
And he's like, but the 4... Oh. And as you start to move away, you've got something in the neighborhood of 20 golden furs on your chest at this point. And a little bit of a buzz from some really strong drink. At the other tables, other things are going on. Orla, you were kind of staying up there away from this. Or were you keeping an eye on anything other than the cheating at this point?
Yeah, I want to watch this table. I want to watch some rolls go by to see how it works whenever there's, this one person here is this one creature is doing well. How's that happening?
Sure, it looks like maybe they just got lucky. Because they're laying out 20 or so at a time. So there's a better odd of them hitting, and they seem to have just gotten it there. Now, these two don't have quite the pitching arm that Mr. Onest does. They are Riffle and Smoosh. So Riffle on the left-hand side there, she tends to give it a little side-to-side bounce, so it tends to go as it comes back and forth and then settles in. But it's only 3 or 4 times back and forth on the table, whereas Mr. Onest is just flying. Smoosh bounces it. Like, she just hits it and and then eventually settles in. You're not really seeing a pattern to them aside from they like throw in different ways.
And do the ones who seem successful, do they have a lot of gold marks on them still too?
No, the ones that are successful have very few gold marks on them. They
So
have
can I
they have
go-
a few, like they've got 2 or 3, but it looks like they're probably playing with the house's money at this point. And that's what I was assuming you meant by successful. Not a lot of coat
Yeah.
and a decent pile.
Yeah. So can I go ask one of them, if they have a secret to this, or if this is just luck, or they try to kind of watch what they're doing?
Yeah, so you kind of settle in, and I mean, I'm not going to give away the whole system to you. I've got a book if you want to buy it. But really what you want to look for is the thrower's patterns, and then you want to cover that area. Because when a thrower gets good, they can target an area of the board, but they can't target an individual spot, not with a fair throw at least. And these throwers have been pretty fair. I would say they're very, very fairy throwers. But as they're kind of settling in, you can tell they're aiming long on the board, short on the board, and then you play to that. You cover, half the board. Now it's a big risk, so you got to go in big pot ahead of time. But if you can get a win early on, you can stay in the game for a good long time, build it up, and eventually you figure out, where their pattern is. And as you're watching, you're like, ooh, I don't think that's a real thing. But they've got it.
Orla's gonna be like, "This just looks too rich for my blood," and then she's gonna kinda go and, go down where the others are and tell them what she saw there, and say that, "I don't think I wanna do this at all." And yeah, that's it. I don't wanna do this. I don't know what we can do. Does anybody have any ideas, or should we just try to see what is happening somewhere else?
We could look at another hall. I agree. It's going to be difficult to dissuade people from leaving here. Apparently, more difficult than I hoped.
Yes, I was hoping to see some illegal activity, but I didn't spy any.
Addiction is a terrible burden, Pigeon.
They took a lot of my money.
Yes, but you gave it freely.
Yes, against our warnings.
Wait, you warned me?
I'm afraid so, my good Briggs.
Oh, all right. Let me do you a favor then. Maybe if you convince this one to leave, if you can convince one of the other ones to leave.
That was my hope. If we could at least convince a few of them to leave, then maybe the gambling hall wouldn't have a reason to stay open. But it
Well,
seems
no,
hard.
there seem to be three of them. So if you could convince this guy to say, well, I will go if one of the other people say they'll go, then you only have to convince one of the other two
Mhm.
to go back.
Do we notice anything about the way that all these characters in here are dressed? Is there a theme, or has anyone noticed that Bear doesn't have anything on?
No, they don't seem to mind that so much. You're in cat form, and the little costumes don't really cover or show much one way or the other. So much it is a what do you wish to be. The ones in here, you would say the majority of them seem to have dressed intelligently. They seem to have dressed to show off that they are educated people. You see one or two that are just dressed. They grabbed the princess one or they grabbed the king one, but most of them seem to be have a somber sort of I'm a professional knowing what I'm doing kind of thing. Um, so lots of sensible attire. You know,
Uh,
the occasional hat pulled down a little low so they can't tell what the other ones are thinking or looking at.
Orla wants to go to the guy at the table that Barrick's sitting at,
Sure.
the player, and say, "Is somebody waiting for you at home? Do you have somewhere to be? Aren't you supposed to be doing something else?"
I
Mm.
mean, probably. I mean, she's got the kids. She'll wait. It'll be fine. I mean,
Uh,
if I came home owing 40 gold to someone, she'd she wouldn't be there long, or I wouldn't be there long.
she who? What's her name?
What is her name? I should know that, shouldn't I?
And
Ah,
the kids, your kids?
I have kids?
I don't know. You said she had the kids. Are they your kids?
Ah, I gotta clear the debt. I mean, you know how it is with them. If you owe them 40 gold, they'll take the gold at the worst possible time.
I don't really know what it's like with them. Do you know what it's like with them?
Oh, I mean, you pick things up in here. Like, if you owe them 40 gold, they get to take 40 gold, but they get to decide when to take it. Like, you owe somebody money. Like, you're at a store, you want to buy something. You start to count your gold out on the table. They'll take just enough so you don't have enough for what you're buying. And they'll do that over and over. So you're better off settling up with them. And I don't have 40 gold to my name right now. I mean, if I had 40 gold, I'd be out of here.
You'd be out of here and do what?
Well, I mean, if I could pay them off as soon as I left, then they couldn't take it whenever they wanted. But I didn't have 40 gold on me when I came in here. Seemed like easy money. Is easy money. Gotta stick to the system. That other fellow, what's his name? That Barrig one, didn't stick to the system. He had to go one more time and we would have been in it. How about you? You know what? We haven't seen another roll yet. 91 through 96. That'd be 4. They hate 4s.
Have you learned nothing from this experience? I mean, Barrick is not in his debt, as much debt as you are, only because he hasn't been playing as long. Orla is right. You should listen to her. You should go home to your family. What if we were able to convince Master Ones to have your debt and it was paid off now? Would you give us your word that you'd leave, not come back?
I mean, if I didn't have debt, I'd like to walk away with something for my time, but I guess breaking even is, I don't know. Could I get a persuasion check from whoever's trying to convince him that?
I'd be trying to persuade him.
Sure, could I get a persuasion check? All right, yeah. If you can square up my debt so he won't be taking gold at the worst possible time, I'm out.
So I think we would then turn to the young Master Onest and say, you said that people are here partaking of their free will and that you're only interested in bringing happiness and joy. But what about this person's family who have not seen him? And now he's deep in debt to the house. If you really wish to see him content and bring peace and happiness to this person, would you agree to half his debt? I would be willing to pay 20 gold, half of what's owed to him, if you let him leave now.
I don't know that I could take such a loss. That seems entirely unfair. I could. I would be willing to accept half of his debt in payment now, and you may distribute the other half of the payment amongst any willing. If you yourself wish to take on 20 gold in debt to me, you may do so.
Yes, I'd be willing to do that if this person will be released from this ensnarement.
Such a harsh term. So, you will pay me 20 gold, and you will be in debt to me 20 gold. Are we agreed?
Yes, I agree.
Splendid. And he just and the gold just vanishes off the fella's chest and it all appears on yours. You may pay me the 20 gold whenever you're ready, and that will settle the half of the debt that you wish to settle. So Gareth now has 40 golden lines on his chest. And the fella's like, oh, wow. But if I win now.
You gave me your word, sir.
You're right.
And I will hold you to it.
You're right. All right. And he kind of starts heading out, and he gets to the edge, and he like looks around, and he's like, I guess and he just jumps off the edge and gets down to the ground. And you see a young man running away some 300 feet below.
So in seeing that transaction, I go around counting the gold furs on the other cat's chests just to see if this is our strategy. How expensive is it going to get?
Sure, counting up everybody who's got the golden stripes, you got about 200 golden stripes in the room, though 2 of the players are sitting there on stacks of cash.
I think Orla wants to go to one of the successful players now and say, what's your story exactly? Why are you here? Or don't you have somebody waiting for you somewhere?
No. I mean,
Oh.
I'm just trying to get up enough money to, get somebody to wait for me. Figure 100
I think
gold.
you have enough.
No,
I think you have enough.
Whose attention am I going to get for 50 gold? That's not even a house. Nice house, little cottage somewhere, little farmstead. I mean, you could get somebody's attention for 50 gold, but that's expensive and doesn't last very long.
And then the other players at the table, and you have anything going on outside of this place?
I mean, I get it. Yeah.
And you.
And they're
Anybody have anything going on outside of this place?
They're all sort of like, I guess. And there's a lot of excuses going on. And Mr. Oness is like looking at you like, oh, come on, spoil sport. What are you doing? And he's like, you know what? I feel like the mood's going down, Mr. Oness says. How about a round? And you can see the little ants start marching out with the little flower cups. And everybody like looks down like, oh, yeah, I mean, that seems like a good idea.
What if Gareth starts loudly talking about the corrupting nature of drink and how that's led to a lot of sadness in families and orphans and people being abandoned and addiction basically destroying people's future prospects?
Sure. So let's go with Orla. Can I get a persuasion check from you as you start in on that one? And then Gareth, can I get probably a religion check from you as you start proselytizing? Proselytizing?
Proselytizing.
That word. Yeah, Orla. Oh, but Gareth. And I do not think I've heard a ring-a-ding of a player reroll yet. So,
what about if I use my inspiration?
Oh, inspiration, absolutely. Go ahead and deploy that for the extra roll. Do better than a 1 on the die. I guess technically a 2 on the die is better than a 1 on the die, but it wasn't really what I was thinking about. So y'all can see Orla's kind of getting through to them, and they're like looking down, and they're like getting ready to lap up from the little flower cups. Swidge and Berrig, you can see that like, they're getting a little wistful, and then Gareth just starts in, and they're like, you know what? I need a drink after hearing that. Berrig, Swidge, do you have anything to sway them away from taking a drink to clear the mentality there?
Can I place a bet for 90 to 99?
90 to 99. You could certainly place a bet for 90 to 99. It
seems to me like Gareth has tried to convince us to, like, this might not be such a bad idea after all.
Sure. You got it. So could I get a D100 and 10 more furs. 10 more golden furs appear. You're somewhere in the 30 range. We'll get that tallied up at the end. Swidgen, what might you be up to?
Swidgen's kind of watching Berg's strategy and watching Gareth's strategy and trying to see which one is the most futile. And then he'll try to join the other one, but so far he hasn't made a decision.
Okay. So I have an idea in my head that if you manage to pick out of the air, I will 100% go with. But what is your angle? What is the thing you're you're pitching in behind.
He agrees in spirit with Gareth that this is a harmful addiction that these people have found themselves in. And buying them out seems so far to be the most reliable strategy, but 200 gold is quite a bit, and some of them don't seem to even be content with just breaking even, so it may be more than that. I don't know. Yeah, honestly,
Sure.
This is tricky.
So how about we let the dice throw a little help in there? I would say you're probably on either a history or a persuasion. So either you're going more with the mathematics or more with the persuasiveness. Pick your poison, and then if you want to use your inspiration, you may. Right now we're at a crossroads.
All right. Either way, it's a -1, so inspiration. Here we go.
All right, inspiration
And if I
deployed.
could get some guidance on it, guidance would be perfect right now. Pray for some
Pair of
guidance.
threes is what you got on that.
Oh my
So,
oh wow! Even the
at
gods
a
aren't
total
helping.
of a 3, just not pulling it together. Like they're like in it, and then they like see Barrick roll, and maybe there was an opportunity to capitalize on the loss there, but it all just sort of fell down, and they all just like kind of reached down, they lapped up their mead, and then they got back to trying to get to even. Mr. Onest, young Master Onest, looks at y'all and says, "You're more than welcome to play. Please. And, if the gambling is not to your taste, and it seems not to be, perhaps the other form of gambling up in the Hall of Streamers, or maybe you could use a rest. You look tired."
What happens up at the Hall of Streamers?
Ah, dance and revelry.
And Dreamers?
Sleep and rest. Respite for those who need it.
Perhaps we could try our hand at one of those halls and see if we can't fare a little better and return here later.
Yes, more reconnaissance is needed.
It seems to me that you're further in debt than I am, Gareth. And you didn't even get to gamble.
That's true, but I took on that debt to free another, Barrick.
But what's to stop him from coming back?
Well, he gave me his word. I hope that
he gave you his word that he would leave
and not return.
Yeah, he headed off. You saw him herring off into the distance.
Okay.
And if we're able to dissuade the activities here in the gambling hall or change its course, perhaps he wouldn't have the opportunity. That's also our objective.
If he makes it home, I don't think he's going to go anywhere for a while.
He'll be working with broken legs from the other bookie.
He remembers where home is.
And so, party, what might we be doing?
I want to go out, and because like we're going to go somewhere else. I want to talk to everybody outside.
You got it. You step outside, head over to maybe the costume or one of the other platforms there,
and say, I could do a thing where I could make the ball end where we want it to, but
oh my God! Why did you do that? That's amazing.
Because it's not right to do that. That's cheating.
Mm. That would be cheating, Aurora.
But we could clear
Cheaters never
debt.
prosper.
I mean,
you
I
could
just
clear everybody's debt.
If we did like one big roll and got everybody out, and then we ran before they realized what happened, that might work. But I don't feel good about that.
Well, and we're trying to resolve this through non-violent means. I suspect that the owners of the gambling hall would not respond well.
Only if she gets caught.
Yeah. Well, a crime is still a crime, whether or not you get caught.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. Well, I mean, I wouldn't
It's a sound
keep the money.
strategy, but
Yeah,
Dishonorable.
I would say that
nonetheless.
is an act of desperation. I mean, why don't we try our hand at the other halls first and see if we
I'm
don't fare
pretty
better?
desperate. I lost 30 gold.
And that was your choice, Barrig.
That's fine.
But
I'm just saying, let's not discount desperation in the future.
okay, if I'm gambling on something and you could do something like that, go ahead. I'm willing to take the risk.
Yeah, I don't know if I am though. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Asking her to cheat on your behalf, Barrig. Come now.
I'll split the money with her.
Yeah, but you know how my spells go. Sometimes they just don't.
Come on, let's go, my friends.
You got it. And as you head back out, there's a little bit of a weird sort of shift as you step back out in the door. You were certain it looked like, twilight sort of time as you were inside, but now that you've stepped back out onto the branches and you look back up, oh yeah, no, it is closer to like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Does that make sense to anybody? Does it look like something's strange out here?
Well, time passes differently there. It's meant to keep people gambling.
Differently, like faster, slower,
They don't
sideways?
detect the passage of time.
Yes, I noticed there
Wait,
were
so
no sundials
okay,
anywhere in that place.
Gareth, you're saying that they're using magic to keep people there. Then how is it not the same thing if she's using magic to get people to leave?
Well, not keeping them there, only to help
No,
persuade them
they
to
are.
stay there. Well, there
They're
is some
confused.
free will involved here, Eric, like the choice that you made to gamble, even though we said you're going to lose your money.
But I didn't have to.
Exactly. That's my point.
No, if Orla would have got the dice to land on 92, we could have made so much money, Orla.
I'm wondering if we can rub those marks off of you somehow.
That too would be cheating.
Mm. He owes a debt which he willingly took on.
Hmm.
As
But
do
Barry
I.
does make an interesting point. It is a form of cheating, I feel. They're manipulations to keep people there longer than they would otherwise remain.
Mm.
Perhaps we could find a way to thwart those influences.
Mm. Let in some light.
We came up with a way.
Sure. And as the party kind of makes that conversation and strolls along there, we will take a quick break, 5 or 10 minutes, so everybody has a chance to refill and then decide where the party is going from there. So thanks everybody for playing along with our gambling hall, and we'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes or so. And there we go. They can see us and they can hear us for another few seconds as I push buttons. We have faded out of visibility. I will have the audio off in just a moment. And they can hear us, and they can see us, and hey everybody, welcome back. The party has made their way to the Gamboling Hall, a structure of 3 trees slowly dancing through the forest. They have been to the Hall of Scheming, where gambling is done with little wire balls. They can go into debt, and several have. Berrig now sports somewhere in the neighborhood of 30-ish golden furs, and Gareth has 40, though he plans to pay off 20 of those immediately. And they have learned that the debt comes with a little bit of a tricksy bit to it. The gold will be redeemed at the most inopportune moment if the debt remains unpaid. And the party has made their way out of that Hall of Schemers. They are now on the branches in between. They could head up to the northwest to the Hall of Streamers, from which noise and music emanates, or the Hall of Dreamers to the north and east, which is a little bit quieter. Where might the party be going?
So, Gareth, I hesitate to tell you this, but I do have a plan.
Okay.
So it seems like there are three separate entities here, and we have to convince at least two of them to turn around.
That's, I think, what we've learned.
So if we can convince one of the other ones to turn around, if we can convince one, like, we only have to convince two, so we get one to agree that they'll turn around if we can convince somebody else to turn around.
Mhm.
And then we go to the gambling hall and we cheat.
Well, why don't we first concentrate on getting perhaps two of the halls turned around? That part of your plan I agree with. Cheating part, not so much. I think, again,
But no,
hey,
what we do is we gamble that they can go turn around if we win. And then we win.
But what
well,
happens if we lose?
yes. And you're also putting
We
at risk
won't
the
because you
person.
can control the dice.
And what if they discover that we're cheating and that's how we won?
Well, that would be bad. We don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any way of knowing that they could not tell that we were cheating?
No.
Yes. And if you owned a gambling hall, didn't you think that would be one of your primary concerns, to detect and identify cheaters? Right.
Okay, so
So
what you're
I'm not
saying
prepared to
is there
put
might be a
Orla at risk.
little tiny flaw to my plan.
Yeah, it's certainly not worth putting Orla's life in danger and potentially that of the rest of the party as well. Let's try it my way first, Eric.
Sure. So which of the other two halls are we headed toward first?
Barrick, are you sleepy at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
It looks like
If
you
you
could use a
were,
nap.
I still got one more coin.
Uh, well, rousing people in the Dreamers Hall sounds to me perhaps that could be the easiest task, although I may be wrong.
Wait, what if we go in there and we just go to sleep?
Well, if you feel like taking a nap, I think you should rest.
No, I mean, like magically they put us all to sleep.
Maybe just one or two of us could go in first and see what it's like before we send the whole party in.
But how would the rest of the party know that they hadn't just fallen asleep?
Maybe we have to come back in 5 minutes to check in. Unless someone here has some resistance to sleeping. Unfortunately, I have no such protection myself.
well, Barrick said he can't sleep when there's loud noises, and I have been known to make loud noises. So I don't know. Maybe we can work with that.
Oh my god, you snore like a freight train.
Barry,
What?
That is not what I was talking about. No.
that wasn't very nice.
So I think as the party is talking, they sort of wandered their way over towards the Hall of Dreaming, at least, which is up here in the northeastern corner. You can see that the entrance to that is right up from here, and as you get a bit closer, and you sort of peer in, there's that little bit of distortion in time. You would say that as you were walking along the branches, it was probably, you know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. But as you get over there, it's probably right around that 3 to 4 o'clock hour. It's long enough after lunch that you maybe want to get a little nap in. The sun's coming in on an angle. Um, you know, not as late as it was over by the Hall of Schemers, but not as early as it was on the branches.
So who's going in then?
It's this one over here.
It's sorry, this one up here. Entrance is up here. Point using the pointer. Entrance is up here at the top.
Okay. I can go in, or is there a way from just outside the entrance to keep line of sight on someone who's going into the hall?
Sure, absolutely. So as you start
That's
to
yeah. Go ahead.
as you start to make your way up there, and you can kind of peek inside. Inside, you can see that the entire area is filled with little branches running every which way, and depicted as small armchairs here are what is kind of the exact mix between a cat bed and a nest that just makes you want to make bread on the ground just looking at it. You're looking in there, and the sunlight is coming in. The whole area is just like dappled. You can see those little motes of light, floating down, something to just look at while you're laying there. And standing on the northern end of the room, just kind of across from a doorway, is a humanoid shaped figure. It looks to be the shape of a woman, but made of leaves and small bits of vegetation. And she sort of looks over at you, and she makes sort of like a shushing noise. But instead of an actual shush, all you hear is just like the lightest sound of wind rustling through leaves, like just that perfect kind of sound. Little bit of white noise there.
So Gareth says, "Good day, my lady," in a very loud and boisterous voice.
She just sort of like gives you the little like good day, and it just
May we
carries
come
you.
in?
Of course, of course. And she gestures you forward.
So yeah, so Gareth suggests that let me try to go in, maybe just keep line of sight in case something goes wrong. But I'm going to go in there and try to make some noise and see what happens.
Sure.
Garrett's going to go in and try to recalling maybe what might have been a psalm from his days of serving as an acolyte and kind of sing that aloud as he's walking in.
Sure. And as you're sort of like walking in, you can see that she sort of like tries to shush you a little bit more, and it just comes across as a little more white noise. Go ahead and give me your choice, performance or maybe like an intimidation to kind of make a lot of noise.
Let's go with perform. I mean, I think it's the same. Let's
Okay.
go with performance.
Sure. So as you come in, you can see like two of the little kind of like cubby spots over there are occupied, and you see little heads sort of pop up and look over at you like across their shoulders, and like as they're looking at you, like both of them just like yawn, like yawn. And could I get a charisma saving throw from you, please?
So just straight up charisma.
Charisma save.
Charisma save.
You manage to just like lock your jaw and fight the yawn and continue with your little speech there.
Yep. So I just continue loudly, and I'm saying, "I'm sorry. I find I can only really relax and rest when I've had a good song beforehand. Maybe this will help others."
And maybe this will help others. I will ask an important question. Do you honestly believe that, or should I be asking for a deception check?
No, I mean, help in terms of Gareth believes actually they should not be staying here and resting. So I'm really trying to help them by rousing them.
Sure. So you come on in and you start to give your rousing. You may use your skill of choice there. In the background, there's sort of a quiet hush emanating from the woman, and she will post up a difficulty of a 14. You could see that there's four other individuals nestled down and sort of sleeping there. So could I see your skill of choice against a DC 14?
So I'm going to say that's what kind of skill would that be? Persuasion.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the rest of them, you can see like the little ear twicks and that sort of thing, maybe a little feather ruffle, but none of the rest of them are getting up, and the other ones are like getting used to your noise and kind of like the pattern that you're falling into. And the woman looks a little bit surprised that your loud song did work to lull them back to sleep, but she sort of like gives you a little nod.
Orla's gonna like nod to the others, like he is quite good. He's not bad.
And Gareth, as you're sort
Yes,
of
very
making your way
relaxing.
in, padding your way along the branches as well. I mean, sunny spots, cat bed, little dust motes.
Are there windows in the place?
Ooh, good question. Give me a quick perception check there, Swidget. A 9. There are not enough windows, and there are no openings at the top of the tree that you can see to allow all these streams of light in. There is something else going on, but you can't tell what yet. The whole place is just kind of filled up with little boughs and branches and those little kind of nesty bed spots.
Could we bring in more fresh air from outside? Like if this door to the south was open and creating like a draft, would that help?
You could.
I think Gareth would try to wave the rest of the group in, but he says, like, careful, you may find yourself very tempted to sleep here. And he's going to go then to the south and try to open the door down there.
Sure. You
Gareth,
head up.
wait. I have an idea.
Okay.
Orla, your dice manipulating skills, could you use those as well to move some leaves about, perhaps?
I could move some leaves. I could make a big banging noise. I could.
Yes, exactly. This is what I'm thinking. I can cause that door to fling open with quite a big noise, and perhaps we can make it look as if a strong breeze has blown it open. And you could throw some branches in as well.
Can I do that? Let me see.
I don't know. What skills and magics are we deploying?
I am looking.
You can thaumaturgy on Switch's part.
Sure.
Also, while we're at it, is there any way to determine what the heck where those lights are coming from? The light beams? Are they coming from
You could certainly
the
do
tree
so if
itself?
you were willing to climb up amongst the boughs.
Oh,
From outside, no, but a little exploration, I'm sure you could figure it out. You willing to go in there, Swidgen?
I'll go in.
Sure.
I'll have a look for
yeah.
you, Susan.
Barrick's a good climber.
Yeah. Barrick, as you make your way in there and you kind of pick up on the sleepy vibe, and Swidgen the same, could I get a charisma saving throw from each of you? Swidgen, you really want to lie down, but you can shake it off. Barrick, you're doing okay. And as you start to kind of make your way up and through, you can see sitting up in the boughs is a fey creature. She's an orangey red, and she's giving off light very similar to sunlight, kind of a late afternoon illumination, and that's where all those little beams are coming down from. And she seems to be taking great care to make sure that any of the occupied beds have a sunbeam in just the right place.
Oh, that's pretty generous of you.
And she sort of says, well, of course, anything for my fans.
Is there any way to determine if it's harmful? this effect? Is it sapping them in some way, or like?
I mean, you
Um,
put
I
a
mean,
test
obviously
paw
it's
in
making
and
them
it
tired. I guess.
slightly warms up your paw. It feels nice.
Mm.
Perhaps you could brighten up the room.
Or
How far is she from the floor? Like how high?
she's about 40 feet up from what would be the floor. And
Okay.
the branches and sort of up and downy, so some are a little closer, some are a little further away.
Are you the one that's in charge?
Well, my name is Phenom, and those here are here to appreciate me. Um, Tyndale does a wonderful job keeping everything organized down below. I suppose if anyone's in charge, I am.
Uh, my friend, he's trying to get you guys to go back
Go back where?
to where you came from.
Well, I've been in the tree the whole time.
I'm talking about the whole tree.
Oh, well, I let Peck, Pick, Pock, and Pack take care of that.
Oh, the fairies down at the bottom.
Yes, they were part of my original fan club, but I've expanded it now, you see. When you shine as brightly as I do.
You are very bright.
I thank you.
Probably too smart for me.
Aw. Well, why don't you have a seat and think it over? I'll give you a nice beam.
It's pretty early in the day to go to sleep.
Well, you don't need to sleep. You can just think deeply upon it.
I'm not much of a thinker, but maybe I'll give it a try.
And how long have those here already have they been here thinking?
Well, they come and go. They rest for a time. You know, Tressums do sleep near to 12 hours a day. Sometimes more. And when they're ready, they can return to the halls of streamers or the halls of schemers. I do like those that come from the halls of schemers. The fur lights up so brightly. And she gestures over. You can see a couple of them have the gold fur and flecks.
I think Suijin might roll this one over here and check for bed sores.
I mean, like you go to you go to poke them, and they just like look at you and like bat back at you, like ah.
Would
What?
Orla be able to like blow some leaves in there to try to like get them to go through with like prestidigitation? Is that how you say it?
Sure. Yep.
Like to try to block some of the beams, like this to blow leaves to sort of create like a shadow.
Yeah. So let's. So I heard. We're gonna open the doors on one side with a with one cantrip. We're gonna try and move some leaves through and kind of get them gusting along to throw some shadows and get some attention there. So we got two things going on there. Gareth, Bragg, anything you would be doing during that effort?
I think I'd go south to the door when it opens, and then try to like open and close it, like I'm trying to be helpful, but actually helping maybe more of a draft and a loud banging noise.
Okay. Okay. So we got two sets of doors, so you can both be on either side of that. And then Barrig, any efforts from you there?
I'm gonna try and distract the fairy.
Distract the fairy. Okay, so Barrig, let's start with you with a deception to get the fairy distracted so the sunbeams are mistargeted. Orla, let's go with an arcana, since you'll be using a prestidigitation. Gareth, I think loud banging noises in cats is probably an intimidation. I'm willing to hear your other interpretations of that. And then Swidgen, you'll be using a clerical spell, so Arcana there as well, please.
What about the possibility of persuasion? If I'm trying to kind of persuade them all to be like roused and taking more fresh air and listening to the noises we're making, or do you think intimidation?
No, okay, I can see that. So that's more of a here's an open door as compared to here's this banging door.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's see here. We got a 21, an 11, an 11, and a 1. So I'm going to say the banging doors, you managed to get some leaves moving in. Oops, Swidgen is typing. Dag blast it. So some leaves come in. You get the you get Phenom distracted, but it's not enough to get everybody roused. 2 or 3 go bounding out after the leaves. They sort of take a look around, like, wait, where was I? And then like, oh, I'm kind of awake now, and they start to head off to do other things. But Phenom sort of gets her, well, that's fine. At least I have a few admirers left. And she goes back to paying attention to what she's doing. But we have gotten a couple of the sleepyheads at least up and about. They're currently out on the boughs looking around, maybe thinking it's time for a costume change.
I feel like you guys are being punished for your nat 20s at the beginning.
Yep.
Phenom's looking a little like, well, I guess they had something else to do, but you're here, so.
So I think the one that closest to me, I'm going to walk over and try to loudly explain to this Tressum why exercise is also beneficial, and not just resting and sleeping all day, but why one should be active.
Okay. So we'll try the one-on-one. We'll go a last chance persuasion on this one. After that, they're gonna kind of spitefully dig in.
We need to get Gareth some sandwich boards.
All right, yeah, okay. And Phenom's like, I don't know if I want to do this just for an audience of 1. You're all staying, right?
Alas, my lady, we have business elsewhere in the other hall.
More gambling.
Wait, you're going to? Oh, he's not nearly as much fun.
He cheats.
Does he?
I think so.
Well, then you should stay here. Have a seat. Tell me about it.
Can you help with that?
With cheating?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't play, he can't cheat.
But he's already taken a bunch of my money.
Well, you don't need money here, so settle it and relax.
I honestly like this place, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to grab Barrick by the arm and say, all right, I think it's time to go.
Wait, what? Oh, okay.
All right. And the party sort of piles out of the Hall of Sleepers. There's one Tressum still in there, sort of like napping away. But Phenom's like, if I give that to him, it's just a spotlight, and I'm not sure I want to share a spotlight with anyone. So you're hearing a little grumping from up in the boughs.
Hey, maybe we can convince them to put the other guy to sleep.
Which other guy?
Oh, the guy running the the other halls, or the whatever.
Bonus the Younger.
Yeah, that guy, the one that made all these stripes.
I worry
We had
that
some
other people
cucumbers.
are.
We could lay them around the chairs. Cats hate that.
I could probably make some of those, but they'd be magical. Well, I mean, illusionary.
And so as
And
you, as the party
sorry,
heads,
Barrick was
Oh, I was gonna say I worry that people are gonna come in after we leave. I have some pythons. We could jam the door shut.
Oh, I
I
thought
don't
you were
know if
going to
that
just
would make
suggest
them angry.
putting them in the chairs.
I think we're not harming anyone, right? But I think that is a good way to try to prevent people from re-entering.
Sure. How about we call that a sleight of hands? We're going to need a 14 or better to secure the doors in such a way that people couldn't pass through them easily without it being obvious to Tyndale and Phenom that you've been blocking their door.
Can
Can
I
I
help?
get?
So we got a 1 already on the
Oh, guidance.
blessing, on the guidance. So we need a 13 or better on whoever's rolling. And a 16 makes it, and actually you get the Orla's helping, so go ahead and roll with advantage. I heard Orla was helping there. So bumps it up to an 18. That is enough. So you've managed to secure them. It's a little obvious from the outside. There's some pythons and rope kind of holding the saloon doors shut so the branches can't swing. But from the inside, nothing seems amiss. And you can hear Phenom's a little bit grumpy that she's now performing for an audience of 1 in there. On the walkways, a couple of the other Tressums are sort of looking around like, what's the thing to do next? They're kind of talking amongst themselves. Should we head to the...
How can we try and convince them to go home? That they've had enough. They had a rest. They've had a gamble. They should get back to their families.
Sure. Let's call that a... Let's go persuasion from each of you. Wow.
Holy!
Okay, yeah. So once they're out and they're yawning, you get to them before they're totally awake. You're like, it's time to go. They're like, oh, it's time to go, and they all hop down. They hit the ground. They turn back into their normal forms and start wandering away. And then 2 minutes later, like, wait, what was I doing? Oh, I guess I was going home. Some of them are still sporting golden hairs here and there, but yeah, you clear out the boughs at the moment. What's up next?
1 more to go.
1 more to go. And we'll go ahead and reveal the area over here. We will recenter ourselves over there. And as you are approaching, several entrances and exits from this particular hall, 2 on the south side, another one on the northwest side. And as you come up, you can start to hear the music coming out of it. When you get close to the saloon door, you can see just past the doors hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of streamers hanging down, very, very thin and sparkling like crazy. They're only an inch or 2 off the floor, but as you get near the doors, they lift up and sort of create this little rain effect, just staying a little bit above and out of your reach as you move forward. If you can imagine countless ribbons dangling just above your head in all sorts of colors.
But what's making the music? Can we tell?
Can't tell yet because you can only see like an inch along the floor, because otherwise it's just streamers everywhere, but somewhere into the distance there, the music is coming from.
Orla, do you have a way of disrupting or switching those streamers?
Well, if you want me to set them on fire, I could try that.
No. That could cause some harm.
Same.
Wait. If we burn the tree down, that solves all our problems.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to cause any harm to the forest or to the people dwelling within it, Barry.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
I could try to like blow them away, see if they go.
Maybe I could try to pull some of them down.
Sure. So Gareth, as you're thinking about trying to pull some of them down, you maybe like reach up towards them, and they just whoop whoop whoop, just a little bit out of your reach. Lots of sparkly little strings hanging down, and you're just like reaching up at them, and you're like,
What's suspending them? What's producing them or holding them up
"Oh, an
there? Can we
excellent
see?
question. How about a let's call it an investigation check."
Can anyone help me? Maybe who has more skill in investigation?
I can help you, I guess.
Okay. You got help, so give me one more roll with the advantage there. Unless that was with advantage. Yep, one more roll.
Hmm.
So you can see that they go up and then they hook over some branches or other protrusions at the top, and they sort of head that way, away from you towards the center, but you can't tell what they're connecting to. You can just kind of see that they go up and then they go over.
So there's something up there, just out of sight. I don't know, Barrick, do you think you'd be able to climb up there?
Yeah, probably.
Sure. Barrig, could I get a acrobatics check from you? So Barrig does his best. He leaps up. He's like grab, 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 down. Leaps up, grab, 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 down. Can't quite get a hold of him. Barrig, as you're jumping up, you see like there's little red ones and green ones and gold ones and silver ones. They all seem to be made of like very nicely braided bits of wire or other material. It's soft. You're almost certain it's soft, but you haven't managed to get a paw on it yet.
Can we see the others in here? Like, can we see that the others are doing
Not
stuff?
without moving in yet. You can
Okay.
hear that there's people in there. You can hear heavy steps. And Barrick, now you can see like there's another cat, like Tressum, just over there with you. They're also up on their paws, like they're kind of dancing along to the music, and they're sort of going after them as well. And they like see you, and they're like, "Yeah!" And like when you
I'll
go to
start
jump, they're
dancing
like,
too.
"Yeah, jump!"
Do the Barrick.
Do the yeah. So
the
you
Barrig.
call out the Barrig, and you hear like, "Do the Barrig!" And then you just like hear little cat paws jumping up and down in there. From the far side, you hear, "What's a Barrig? I don't know. Do one."
And what about over here?
Music is what you hear from over there.
I have very little musical talent. I can sing a bit, but maybe I can do something to disrupt the music, and that would persuade people to leave.
Oh, if you sang badly, do you think they'd leave?
Intentionally badly? Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe I could try to start trying to sing completely out of tune and out of step with the music.
Sure.
While he's doing that, I would like to try to cast like minor illusion and try to just make like a drum rhythm that goes completely counter to what's happening in here.
Sure. So
Okay.
I hear a couple of things going on. So Gareth is going to try and bodily disrupt. Orla's going to try and go offbeat. Barrig and Swidgen, what are you trying to do?
Trying to figure out if I could make something stink. I mean, besides the obvious ways.
Yeah, you probably could.
That's a great idea.
I guess. I mean,
More
good old
poofing.
fashioned crop dusting. I mean, is that odd?
Okay. So,
Employ poofing skill.
so let's start with Orla. Orla, if I could get a performance check from you, please, as you try and drum offbeat. So, Orla, you trying to drum offbeat, and whoever is doing this is good. Like they hear you offbeat, and then they match rhythm, and then you find you're drumming along. And can I have a wisdom saving throw from you, please?
Can I do this one with my
You can use your
inspiration?
inspiration if you like. Yep, with advantage,
Okay.
wisdom saving throw.
Oh crap! How do I do that?
I think it's either Alt or Shift when you click on it, and it gives it to you, or
Yeah,
just roll it
Shift.
twice.
I got it.
18. Okay, so you managed to resist. You were like, it's synced in the beat. You're like, how is this synced up to me? And then you're like, wait, I don't want to do this, and you kind of get yourself off beat again. But you can't manage to drum in such a way that they're not keeping up with you. Gareth, as you try and just sort of dance bad. Could I have? I would say either maybe an acrobatics or performance, or I'm willing to hear what else you're thinking.
It's singing badly, singing
Sorry.
off key.
Singing off
Right.
key. So so performance feels like it then.
Okay.
Again.
Ugh.
So you just start belting out. You're just like wonk, and they auto tune you. Like you're just like wonk, and they hit the exact note that they need to make it sound like you're singing along with them. And you're like, I don't know what's going on. And could I get a wisdom saving throw from you? That's a little too low. So you're like, wow, this person gets me. So you're sitting there honking along like a bagpipe, and they are just absolutely riffing on it. Gareth, you are going to be out of it for about a minute. So you can do things that are involved in singing and dancing, but you got to be singing and dancing as you go through. Swidgen, as you do an old-fashioned crop dusting, we're just going to call this one a Constitution check. And let's see how we do here.
Oh.
Yeah, so you managed to get in there and, disturb some people, but we do still need a wisdom saving throw. Yours is now easier than the others were, but we still need a wisdom save. 16, you're fine. So you're kind of like edging up to people and then just sort of like, and they're like, what? So you do see one or two people like starting to make their way over towards the exit, or at least away from you. Berrig, in the meanwhile, you've started a new dance craze. I don't know that we've gotten an activity from you on this batch yet. What is Berrig up to?
Just dancing.
Just dancing. All right, so Berrig's just
Yeah.
into it. Absolutely. Could I get a wisdom saving throw from you, Berrig, to see if you can stop dancing when you want to? Berrig, it's good that the crop duster happened. You are able to decide you want to leave when you want to leave. In the meanwhile, the party has moved around enough that you've found that at the center here, so as you're kind of moving around, there is a woman who has a body build similar to Edward that you saw down below, but her hair, no beard, but her hair coming out of her head looks like a absolutely psychotic troll doll. There are colors of the rainbow just shooting up everywhere. They seem to go up, out, and then down, and those are the streamers that you have been sort of batting at. As you get a closer look at her, there's a little clear area around her where occasionally people come out, or the Tressums come out and they dart back into the pile, where you can see that she's got two rocks that are just sort of bouncing on either side of her, providing the base. And then she is playing, it looks a little like a saxophone and a bagpipe sort of went crazy. So it is a multi-horned instrument, like panpipes with hooks, like bagpipe with weird edges, whatever you want to consider it on. But she is all over it as she's playing along and matching to whatever Gareth noise is. So that's what you've got at the moment. We've got one or two of the Tressums that have moved out, but the rest of you are kind of playing along. So she's still having a great time. What's the party doing?
So we have to keep singing and dancing. What about if we kind of introduced a non-harmful but still obnoxious form of body slam dancing? while we're in here. You start bumping
Sure.
into
That
the other
that
people, and that irritates them and convinces them to leave, and maybe even disrupts the music.
that stays within the pattern. You must sing and dance, but you can try and be disruptive as you do so. I'm going to say mosh pitting is going to be on the intimidation side of things. Or I'll say intimidation or athletics. If you're actually trying to edge them out the door, I'll go athletics. If you're actually trying to scare away more than one, I would say intimidation.
Can I assist with that? Because Bear could do the same thing. He could.
Sure. Yeah, you can either
Like,
both try or you can assist for a advantage, whichever you like.
How about like acrobatics? Like do some like tumbling around, like flips and whatnot.
You can
Just give it a shot.
You can definitely do that, but that might be more encouraging than discouraging.
Oh, that's true.
So intimidation?
Intimidation or athletics?
I don't want to do this. I'm going to get hurt.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Can I run out? Can I run outside and do a cast prestidigitation and see if I can mimic some different sparkly things outside, like different sparkly streamers outside the door?
Sure. All
Okay.
right. So let's call that one prestidigitation. Let's call that a deception. There's more party over here, is I think what you're going for there.
Sorry. So that was deception.
Deception. Yep, deception,
okay.
please.
Aw.
So you got a couple that kind of came out. Gareth was a little too rough, and maybe that got in your way there, Orla. You know, you couldn't get the things set up when the other two came out complaining like, wow, that dude's harsh and the mellow. So we'll take 2 out so far. But otherwise, the dance continues and the party's been lured in. Anybody else ideas?
What if we disrupted? You said there's the clear space above kind of the creature that seems to be producing the streamers and the music. If we either stop those rocks from bouncing or kind of get tangled up in the streamers in that space right above her head, and that would maybe mess up all of the streamers across the room.
Sure. So the streamers are her hair. They are actually her hair. So that would affecting the streamers would be tackling her. The rocks themselves you could try and get like in the way of to throw off the beat, but that might get you hurt. They're fairly big rocks that are bouncing. A risk. It could be a reward, but it is a risk.
The other thing of maybe like maybe not so much tackling, which maybe could hurt her, but if we get tangled up somehow in the streamers coming out of her head, that it basically disrupts the streamers being able to flow into the room and their movement.
Sure. Okay, I see what you're going for. We'll use a tackle to resolve it, but you'll be aiming more for streamers than for her. So you're going to kind of try and get yourself up in the main bunch and cause an issue there. Anybody else in the plan for you? Or are you going rogue and just leaping?
Switching will saunter up to, because he's out of ideas, I'll go over to Gareth and, how may I assist?
Let's try to jump together into the pile of the streamers coming out of her head and see if we can't disrupt this party.
Sure. So, hey, Choo Choo Dog, thanks for joining by. As you kind of move forward and get ready to leap. Boop, 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 boop. Could I get a DC 13 dexterity saving throw from both of you? $13 is good. 17 is good. So as you sort of like make the leap, she's been teasing cats for a while now. She knows where you're going. A bunch of the streamers sort of whip forward and try and tangle you up, but you manage to squeeze through them. You're now flying through the air at the main mass. You're like, this is it. And could I get a athletics check from each of you as you try and take down the tangle?
Could be acrobatics.
On a attack roll, I think you can only do athletics.
Okay. Okay.
Swidgen falls a little short, doesn't quite make it, but Gareth is like, I am home! Woomph! Managed to get arms, paws, wings all the way around. All the streamers sort of suck back up and pull down till she's just got like the standard troll spike of hair, and you're just hugging on it, and she's just looking up at you, like, hello?
So,
Well, done. You're not really supposed to go for the teaser, you go for the other end, but could you let go of my hair now?
well, apologies, madam, but we were thinking perhaps some of these dancers look a little tired. Maybe we should take a break.
I and she sort of looks around and like with the streamers gone, all the rest of them are just like, this is boring. So could I get a persuasion check from you there, Gareth?
Oh, might any of my party mates be also trying to convince her
this
to
is
it?
talking. This is talking to her. The rest can help with the other Tressums.
All right.
Oh, she's like, I could use a little break. It's been a while since I've seen Eddie. I'll head down and visit him, and then party later. Orla, Berrig, Swidgen, you have an opportunity to convince the other Tressums that maybe go home now. Could I get some persuasion rolls from you, please? Or intimidation, or something else if you have something else. Orla's all over the persuasion today. Berrig's doing well.
Dang it.
Swidgen not so well. But most of them have headed down enough so that when Corinne comes back, there won't be much of a party to come back to. So, two of the areas have been broken up. But the gambling hall itself is still going strong, and a lot of people do owe some gold. Party, are you satisfied with this and see if it breaks up, or is there more effort you want to do?
I believe we may possibly be able to follow Beric's plan and win enough gold to buy out the losers. It's not cheating.
I don't know. I don't feel right about that switching. Yeah, sorry, Orla.
Where did this one this one go to? Which tree did she go to?
So she hopped down below where Edward, the other Corrid, is, and they seem to be a pair.
Oh yeah, because he said that his wife was up there. I talk to the party. I have a feeling that if we can get them together, we can maybe talk to them in a different way instead of them being in their separate trees. Like if we got them in the same space, because what their specialties are, they seem so different from each other. I have a feeling that we might be able to get them to pick a fight with each other.
That's an excellent idea.
Is it? Well, how do you like that?
I mean, they're all in competition with each other, right? They're each trying to draw visitors to their hall.
Right. Like you've been dancing so much, you need a rest. And you've been gambling so much, you need to dance. That sort of thing. That message.
Sure. So what I'm hearing here, so I like this. What I'm hearing here is we're going to kind of pit them against one another, and it sounds like the angle is that young Master Onest is sort of hogging all the guests at this point. And wouldn't it be better to go your own separate ways, something along those lines? So it takes a little while to get them all in the same place, and Phenom and Corinne are a little bit grumpy that they have to go visit young Master Onest in his own hall because there's no one in theirs. So the three of them end up in the gambling hall. Uh, Riffle and Smoosh continue running their games, but young Master Onest is available to you for conversation. Let's do the dice rolls to see how well or poorly the effort goes before we start thinking on the arguments too much. And here's the way we'll lay this one out. You may use your charisma skill of choice. We're going to go for a cumulative score, and the threshold is currently pretty low because you've done very well isolating them and ridding them of some of the things. You've come up with a good argument. But we do need to hit that threshold before we start engaging in arguments. So, could I get from each person in the party a charisma check of choice as you are adding to these arguments? So, intimidation, persuasion, and so on. We're at a 29 so far. Great start.
I rolled a 17.
Oh, 17. We were doing real well. Swidgen, are you still hanging on to an inspiration?
No.
No, okay. So we got 20. Actually, you guys did really well up top there. So you got 20, 21, 44, 50. So you have passed the threshold. So the conversation will go in your favor. I just need one of the party members to frame up the argument so we can hear what the real conversation is. Who is?
So, Derek would say that you two. He tried to convince us that we should get everybody to come to his area and not be in yours, and use deception to try and convince him that he's working against them.
Okay.
Cause a little infighting.
Got it. So Barrigs definitely caused that infighting there. Gareth, Orla, what are your angles on this one?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would, Orla would, so Orla's gonna say, yeah, because, like I said, he said that, you were dancing so much and you have to be, you got to be tired. So eventually you're going to end up at their place, which is the best place to be anyway. And the gambling place is just that people get so depressed there that, they said they're going to go dancing because that's the best place. And I was there. It was pretty nice. I gotta say, it was pretty nice. So, I don't know what you're offering here, but it didn't work out too good for my friends. I don't know. Discuss amongst yourselves.
Got it. Gareth, what angle were you taking in there?
I think Gareth is gonna, he's concerned about how people are being impoverished by their addiction to gambling, and as you can see, people are simply being sucked in, and the more they gamble, the more they feel they have to continue to gamble, and that's unfortunately on display all around you. And maybe you'd all be better off taking your businesses back east from whence you came. If you were successful and happy there, maybe that would work out best for everyone.
Sure. And Swidgen, yours kind of fell super flat. But what was it that did fall super flat?
He's just kind of growling at him with no context whatsoever. Just kind of
a. So young Master Onest says, well, if we can't even agree amongst ourselves to this point, I suppose there is no real purpose in continuing, and, well, I have made a decent profit, so, you know what? Best of luck to all of you. And he sort of and vanishes. The Phenom gathers her winged friend and they fly away. The two Kored just sort of sink down into the ground. But that leaves us with three enormous trees standing in the middle of the forest. And down below, Stick and Sap sort of like look around and they're like, oh, are we done? and they sort of wander away, leaving those trees there. So, now in the Gnarley Forest, a cluster of 3 enormous trees with hollows at the top await the next person who might wish to have a tree house. But congratulations, party, you have disturbed or dismantled the Gamboling Hall. They will return to whence they came. The um, Elven party will pay you your 100 gold. And could I have a D100 from each of you? Because there is a little bit of loot lying around. Wow, 2 4s on a D100. And then the 97. And then the 99. Lyra and Berrig are both able to find a intact pouch of pixie dust. I will get you the information on that. So you have 1 dose of pixie dust that you may deploy as you choose. Gareth and Swidgen, you each found crumbly mushrooms, which are not good to eat. So please do not eat the crumbly mushrooms. But other than that, as you eventually descend from the tree and reach the ground, you retain your normal forms. Your armor and equipment are on you. Though, Gareth, you have 20 gold less on your person and have 20 gold hairs. Berrig, you have somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 gold hairs. I will get the right number on the recap there. And you will lose those at inopportune times, since you may not be playing with me as the game master. If there is a point where, wow, you really needed that last 3 or 4 gold coins, please take them away from yourself at that time. Young Master Honest is more of a prankster than a villain, so if it's the gold coin that you need in order to save your life, maybe not, but severe levels of inconvenience he would be happy to do to you. As you reach the floor of the forest and have your forms back, what would the party like to discuss amongst themselves as we start to wrap up here for this today?
Swidgen would offer to pay his fair share of the debt that Gareth accumulated, just to be a team player.
Yeah, Orlo would contribute as well. Whatever's fair.
Wait, what about my debt?
Oh yes. Yours as well.
Yeah, okay.
He'll learn nothing.
To learn what?
I'm not
That you
sure.
won't learn anything from this experience. Then, Berrig, you were told not to bet.
Gareth,
Went ahead and did it
I would
anyway.
like to point out that you are further in debt than I am in this
But for a
endeavor.
good cause, right?
But if we all split the difference, then none of us have to pay a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. That works out well for you.
No, it actually works out better for you because you owe more money than I do.
I'm not asking anyone to make a contribution on my behalf. I took on that debt willingly.
You got it. Now,
Very well.
Gareth does have the somewhat benefit of being able to pay 20 gold back immediately. In fact, it's just sort of relieved from him. The other ones, if you look around, there's really no one to pay, so young Master Honest will take that when he finds it funny.
And I think Casey, sorry, just go ahead, Orla.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, like, what we're leaving behind there. Does it make sense to see if we could dismantle any of it so it doesn't just become a gambling hall again?
And I was going to suggest we tell the squire and the dame about the 3 trees, and maybe they might even be able to find a way to bring them closer to where they are, the wood stop, and they could even create like an inn there or a place where people could stay, like in the treehouse.
Excellent idea.
Are the pixies still down there? Are they still driving?
No, the Pixies have left. They flew away with Phenom.
Okay.
With a little bit of a, you're so great, Phenom. Good decision. Best idea ever. All right. So,
Or we
thanks.
could bring it to Rumble, the
Double
loud
Stone.
place. And if we're this high up, maybe we won't hear the noise as much.
Yeah, I don't know how you plan on transporting these trees, but we could talk about that offline. They're big. But we'll figure that part out as we go up. So thanks everybody for playing. Thanks everybody out there in the audience. We've been 20 sides to every story, and this was one of our community campaigns. If you are interested in what we do swing by the Discord and hop in and say hello. That's where we pull our players from, and that's not how to spell the word Discord. That's not it either. There we go. And as we wrap up here, I'll be a minute or two looking off in this direction or so, seeing if I can find somebody to raid, because I figured out what I was doing wrong with the raid command. I always type it backwards. But as we do that, anybody have any shout-outs that they'd like to do? Nope. Okay.
Just thank everybody for watching.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
This was a fun campaign. I like the cats aspect. Very cool.
I appreciate you all putting up with the cat aspect there. I'm not sure what was going wrong with me when I thought up this one, but I was like, you know what? This will be fun. Let's see how it goes. Cool. So thanks, everybody. We will be back in a bit, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye. Ba-bum-bum.